And welcome back to the Upside Sports Network. My name is Michael. Appreciate you guys joining us here this evening. Big matchup in the AL East, but big headlines around Major League Baseball about the Chicago White Sox, an organization that's been in Chicago for, well, pretty much as long as anybody can remember. And today we get the news that they might be considering a relocation to Nashville. One of the few teams out there that I think everybody had checked into the box of, hey, this team will not move. All the history, all the ties they have to that city, absolutely groundbreaking news that they are considering a move to Nashville. Now, from a front office perspective, they're also removing guys like Ken Williams and Rick Hahn, guys who have been there for years and years and years. Ken Williams specifically been there for more than a decade. Rick Hahn's been in the job for, 5 years now, somewhere in that range. But cleaning house right now in Chicago. But let's get to today's game anyway. We are in the bottom of the first inning with Toronto and Baltimore going head-to-head. First inning was a little bit promising, at least in the top half of the inning for the Blue Jays. They had 2 on with 1 out, and unfortunately a ground ball double play by Vlad Guerrero ended the inning. Kikuchi's the starter for the Blue Jays, and right now we have 1 on with 2 away in the bottom half of the first inning. Henderson reaching on that single in there to center, I believe. Hayes is due up next, but we should have a good baseball game here this evening. 2 very good teams. I predicted both of these teams to make the playoffs before the season, and looks like both are very likely to get there. Seattle hard charging, making a nice run in the AL West. I'm just not sure how long this stretch of great play is going to go for them, but good on them for doing well so far. 1-1. That one misses, and Henderson takes second. Stolen base there. Now they have a runner in scoring position. Orioles trying to get out to an early lead. The throw is there in time, just unable to be corralled there by the second baseman. Westberg, one of the top prospects in the Orioles system, waits on deck. Merrifield unable to gather that one. This one on the outside corner. 2-2 now. Good evening to you as well, Mark. I know we got a couple other people with us here this evening. Welcome in, Elaine. Saw you like our post as well. In case you guys are new here to the Upside, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button here as well. And follow us over on Twitter at UpsideSN. That one misses beneath the zone, now full. 3-2 count. Mark, I know you're excited for your Blue Jays this year. Hopefully they can finish the season strong here and really go into the playoffs with some momentum. I think every team's really looking for that momentum as we get down to the stretch here. Seattle, of course, has all the momentum right now. Kikuchi taking his time here. Hayes hitting .281, the set by the lefty, and the pitch right in his wheelhouse. This one's going to split the left fielder and center fielder. It's going to be a double. We're going to have a 1-0 game here in the bottom of the first inning. Nice work there as the Orioles celebrate with their trademark bird bath celebration. As long as the Jays keep Mountcastle off the board, we should be good. He kills us. He has those series, just teams he just performs really well against, but Blue Jays, he seems to have a better season or better success anyway than others. 2-0 now as this one misses in the dirt to Westberg. Blue Jays already in an early 1-0 hole. A little bit more on that breaking news out of Chicago that they went ahead and decided to relieve both Ken Williams and Rick Hahn of their duties. I'm wondering if this was going to happen anyway at the end of the season. I wonder if the ownership group there pretty much said, hey, we got this news that already came out now about possibly being relocated. Let's go ahead and just dump it all right now and just take all of our lumps at once. I think that's kind of the thinking here. Could they have made it to the season and still been fired? Absolutely. I think that probably could have been the thinking of what they wanted to do all along. But I think the impetus for them to be relieved of their duties today moments after news comes out that the team is relocating. When I say moments, we're talking maybe an hour or two after articles were posted on The Athletic that they were considering a relocation to Nashville. Nashville's a very attractive spot for a major league team, don't get me wrong. But for that news to come out so quickly thereafter does not surprise me, the fact that the ownership might want to take some of the heat off of themselves. We saw what type of fan bases can, or how fan bases can react, even as this year with the Oakland A's deciding to go ahead and move to Las Vegas, even with as terrible as a stadium situation as there could be in Major League Baseball. Even their fan base is still like, hey, we would rather have you here, even with the issues we have with the stadium. But what a day for the White Sox. I mean, they traded away a bunch of their pitching staff at the trade deadline. They went ahead and they got some good pieces there for the future, sure, but they don't necessarily look like a team that's going to be contending for a title anytime in the next 5 years, at least as far as I'm concerned. That division isn't necessarily a gauntlet, but Kikuchi gets a nice strike call on the very bottom of the zone there and ends the inning. No runs, 1 hit, no errors for the Blue Jays. 1 run, 2 hits, no errors for the Orioles. But the White Sox are not going to be in contention for a World Series title anytime soon. But I think the news that they decided to break today themselves about Ken Williams and Rick Hahn, I think absolutely can be directly tied to the announcement that they're at least considering the possibility of relocation. When you guys think of the Chicago White Sox, you think of all the history that they've had in that city. The whole Black Sox scandal, etc. Good or bad, that White Sox team pretty much has been synonymous with that city along with the Chicago Cubs since they've been around, really. And to see them at least considering the possibility of moving to what would be a smaller market, a smaller town, a market they would not have to share with the Chicago Cubs, sure, that would be appealing to them, I'm sure. But you're talking about a big change for pretty much your entire fan base. You're not going to take that fan base with you, obviously. You're going to spurn probably half your fan base by moving. Lifelong White Sox fans are no longer going to be lifelong White Sox fans because of this, if they do ultimately decide to move. I just wonder if this is also a negotiating tactic for if they decide to turn around and sell the team at some point. So all types of things are on the table right now for the Chicago White Sox, and I think today was just the tip of the iceberg for all the changes that are going to have to go on in that organization over the next couple of months. So keep your eyes peeled for what they could ultimately end up doing. I think there could be a possibility they trade a guy like Luis Robert, Dylan Cease, etc. after the season. Not because of, they could get great value or whatever the case may be. I just think they want to get their name back in a positive spotlight as far as future. What could their future ultimately hold? Robert obviously is not going to be around for the next good White Sox team, even if they stayed in Chicago. Same for Eloy Jimenez, same for Dylan Cease. If there's a veteran on that roster, I would expect them to at least be taking calls on those guys and see if they can develop something further. Now, as far as the Nashville angle specifically, that's a very good, very vibrant baseball market. Don't get me wrong. Whichever team ultimately either goes there or starts there, they're going to hit the ground running. The AAA team that they've had there for the past several years has done really well. They've cultivated baseball. How many times can you say minor league baseball really kind of helps develop around a town? And they've done a great job of it. It remains to be seen whether they'll appreciate Major League Baseball in the same way. But the way that the AAA Nashville team has done over the last couple of years really shows the interest in baseball there in that market, and a hunger for that type of product on the field. So maybe the White Sox are the team that goes there. I'd be shocked if they ultimately are. I think it will be an expansion type of situation, honestly. I think there's a couple other cities that are also on the horizon that could be expansion eligible as well. Relocation for the White Sox, while it might be interesting for them, this could be any number of things, whether they decide to ultimately go there or if they decide to go ahead and stay in Chicago and sell the team or whatever they decide to do. But a lot of things are going to have to be decided over the next couple of months with the Chicago White Sox. And I think we could see some interesting trades at the winter meetings to kind of surround this organization with some positive news as opposed to just the negative season that they've had and terrible couple of seasons, really, when they were expected to do so well last year and this. Ball 4 there to George Springer. He takes a walk there to first base. Rodriguez, who had been pitching well in the minor leagues and getting the call up fairly recently. Getting the start today. I want to look at his numbers real quick. Welcome in, Seth. Orioles fan. Okay, so we got a couple of Blue Jays fans and an Orioles fan. This is Varsho. Hits it right down the line. Is it a fair ball? No. Springer goes back to first base. Varsho only hitting .222 this year. Should be a much better player next season, but really is not played up to the level that I think Blue Jays fans expected coming into the season, especially with what they ultimately ended up giving away in order to get him. He does possess quite a bit of power. 455 over the last 4 games with a homer and 3 RBIs. Hitting 6th, playing left field for the Blue Jays today. And speaking of that power, absolutely launched. Look at that speed off the bat there. We're going to see a nice velocity off the bat on that one. 2-1 home run there for Varsho, and the Blue Jays take the lead. You hate the Blue Jays anyway? Well, you are division rivals. Can't always be Yankees, Red Sox every year at the top of the division. Other teams are going to have to be in there from time to time. The Rockies are winning. Okay. We'll check in around the scoreboard anyway here shortly. But just kind of breaking down the White Sox, all the issues that they had today. Not a good day if you're a member of the Chicago White Sox organization. And it's going to be a tough couple of months as you continue to watch that team lose. Could be an infield single, and it looks like it will be. Danny Jansen kind of nubs one, or excuse me, Chapman nubs one. It's going to be Danny Jansen next. Rockies winning 2-1 over Tampa. Tampa got some news that Wander Franco is put on the administrative list today, once again, and it's been official now anyway. He is not going to be a part of the team, and it seems like they're not going to have him for the postseason either. They're still not completely ruling it out at this point. I would be shocked if he's back at this point, at any point this season. I would be shocked if he's back in baseball at all. I've heard multiple reports out there already that the investigation into Wander Franco has already lent to some evidence. As to what that evidence is, nobody really knows. But suffice to say, it's not looking good for Wander Franco and his future with the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, don't sail him down the river yet. Got to wait till everything is in. But tough spot right now for the Rays, who gave him all that money, invested in him, said, hey, he's the guy we want to build around. And ultimately, it doesn't work out. At least it doesn't look like it's going to work out the way things are going right now. 1-2 here now to Jansen as he takes that one at the bottom of the zone. Chapman has been pretty bad since scorching start in April. Well, I mean, he's been bad for, the better part of 2 years before this season coming in. Chapman seemed to have at least corrected his swing at least a little bit coming into the year. But he kind of reverted back to the same struggles that he's been having for the last couple of years. And in a off-season where there's not a whole lot of offense there on the market, he's still going to do very well. But I think if he had at least put together a solid start-to-finish season, we would have been talking about an extra $50+ million or more in total value of a contract for Chapman this offseason. But I think he's still going to perform very well in the free agent market. There's not a whole lot out there. As I mentioned, Shohei Ohtani is pretty much the one big bat on the market. Outside of that, it's pretty much just pitching, and then we're going to see a bunch of trades, I think. There's not a lot of talent offensively, and so some of those guys are going to get overpaid. Cody Bellinger is going to be a free agent this year. He was a free agent last year, struck that 1-year, $18 million deal. I'd imagine he's probably going to get $4 and $80 maybe. It's probably the best case scenario right now for Bellinger, maybe a little bit better than that. Pickoff attempt there by Rodriguez once again. Your lineup for the Blue Jays today was Merrifield, Bichette, Belt, Guerrero, Springer, Varsho, Chapman, Jansen, and Kiermaier. Kind of a one jammed off the fists anyway and gets down. Chapman accelerates on to third. Now it'll be runners at the corners. Nobody out. 2 runs already in the inning. Looks like we're going to have a mound visit here for the Orioles. Orioles do have a very good offense. It is not over by any stretch. It's still only the second inning. But this is kind of the issue I have with the Orioles as far as a team right now. I think they're a great team. I think they're going to perform very well over the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years. But if you're talking about them winning this year, I don't think they've done enough as far as a pitching staff to be able to consider themselves the favorite in the American League, let alone the favorite for the World Series. So, for my money, I like both Texas and Houston better than Baltimore, at least right now. Even with Texas' 5-game losing streak they're on, their offense hasn't performed in a better part of 2 weeks. Right now for Texas, they will shake it off. They were probably the league's best offense for the first 2 months of the season. We were expecting some regression at some point. But I like both of the AL West teams right now over the Orioles as far as their ability to get to the World Series. I could be proven wrong. Maybe the pitching staff really holds together, but I'm not counting on it, at least as of yet. Generous call there by the umpire. Takes strike call on the outside corner. Kiermaier, left-handed hitter, center fielder, hitting .270 this year. This one's lined to first, and they double him off. Nice diving stop there by Mountcastle. Catches it on the line and then tags the base for the double play. And it goes quickly from 2 runs already in, runners on the corners, to now 2 outs and runner at third base. Nice work there by Mountcastle, holding on the runner. Nice diving catch in the first baseman mitt. Got just enough glove on that to not let it pop out of the glove. Nice work. It'll be up to Merrifield to drive in the runner. Take strike one, 98-mile-an-hour heater right down Broadway. You have Rodriguez on your fantasy team. This could be bad for your ERA. I would say so, my friend. I like Baltimore's offense. Like I said, I really like their team. They're young. They just need some pitching and they need some experience. Nice work there by the Orioles, being able to get out of that jam. Mountcastle pretty much single-handedly puts a stop to that inning. And we go to the bottom half of the second. 2 runs, 4 hits, no errors for the Blue Jays. 1 run, 2 hits, no errors for the Orioles. In case you guys missed the big headline before we got live with you guys, I went ahead and posted a video just before we started. Ken Williams and Rick Hahn have both been relieved of duty for the Chicago White Sox. President of Baseball Ops and their general manager are both gone. Their manager right now is expected to remain at this moment. I'm not expecting him to stay with all the rumors we've been seeing and internal investigations right now going on by the White Sox. It's just been a terrible season for them. Pretty much just lack of clubhouse discipline being voiced by former players on the team. Rick Hahn having to come out a week ago and say, well, we found nothing to substantiate those types of things. This team has been run like a well-oiled machine. And I don't know what the Middleton was talking about, the reliever we traded to the Yankees. Sorry, I'm not buying it. Veterans, not just Middleton, have been saying that this team hasn't exactly been the most disciplined. We've seen some internal scuffles between their players. We saw it boil over against the Cleveland Guardians, Tim Anderson and Jose Ramirez getting into it. It's just not a good season for the White Sox. And then, of course, today we get the news that they're open to relocating the entire team to Nashville. I mean, I get the fact that they want to, drum up some good publicity, but this is not it. I think this news kind of came out of nowhere, and they were not expecting it to come out. The backlash was going to be big just from the relocation news alone. I think the ownership group there was willing to get rid of Ken Williams and Rick Hahn at the end of the season anyway. I think the news today about the relocation possibility becoming real really kind of push things forward for them to go ahead and push the button on Hahn and Williams to just go ahead and get it done with and take their lumps now all in one big fell swoop and just get it done. Ed Reed in the booth right now for the Baltimore Orioles. In case you're not sure who that is, Baltimore natives probably do. Baltimore Ravens safety Ed Reed, Hall of Fame safety. One pitch, one away here for Kikuchi. Gets him to fly out there for McCann. Mullins, surprisingly, is hitting 7th in the lineup today. Usually is their leadoff hitter or at the upper half of their lineup, but they've been tinkering around this thing with a little bit for the last, the last 3 or 4 months now. Rutschman is now their leadoff hitter. Mountcastle is their 2-hole hitter. Henderson is their 3. They've kind of messed with that top of the order quite a bit now. Nice pitch there by Kikuchi. Gets the strike on the inside corner to Mullins, 0-1. Kind of wish the video would catch up here to the Game Day app here a little faster. That one misses, 1-1. Your Orioles need to tie this game up. Well, they might just do it. Got about 18 of you guys, 19 of you guys with us right now. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. We did a whole bunch of fantasy drafts for you guys over the last couple of days as well. We'll get back into that tomorrow night. If this game ends fast enough, we will also do the Rangers and Diamondbacks game later on this evening. If you have questions about what the White Sox are doing, how things are going to go down the stretch, what the offseason is going to look like, Shohei Ohtani's market, where the starting pitchers are going to land this offseason, if you want to talk about some footballs with the season coming up in a couple of weeks, your fantasy football team, if you want to send it to me, etc., you can. Nice pitch there right on the corner, and Mullins has a word for the umpire as he strikes out looking. But a lot of good sports coming your way. We got the NHL and NBA are about to begin their training camp season as well. We're going to have all 4 major sports going here in the States here in about a month or so. So should be a fun time of year. Then, of course, after the season, after the World Series is over, that's really when I like to have the most fun with baseball, at least from this type of thing. Rumors, where players are going to sign, what their lineup could look like, what their rotation could be, which closer is going to go where. Is the bullpen good enough here, bad enough there, whatever the case may be. We're going to see some interesting decisions made by organizations as McKenna is the 3rd out of the inning there. It's 2-1 right now as we go to the 3rd. Let's check in on some of the other scores from around baseball at the moment. Cubs right now in front of Detroit 4-3 in the 4th inning. Tampa Bay has tied it against Colorado 2-2. Phillies on top of the Giants 2-1. Pittsburgh and St. Louis are scoreless. Our game is 2-1 Blue Jays right now. Yankees and Nationals are scoreless. However, the Yankees do have 2 on, 2 out in the 2nd. Dodgers currently have a 2-0 lead over the Guardians. And the Mets and Braves are scoreless going to the bottom of the 2nd. Later on this evening, Houston takes on Boston. Seattle takes on the White Sox. Twins go after the Brewers. Reds and Angels, Royals, A's, Texas, and the Diamondbacks. That's the one we might be doing later on this evening if this game finishes quickly. Marlins and Padres, the final game of the night. As for where teams stand right now, looking at the standings, we got Baltimore on top still in the East, Texas in the West, Minnesota still in the Central. Pretty much how we've been seeing it for the past, month or 2 now at this point. But Tampa Bay still is a pretty good team, but they've lost a lot of momentum from where they were the start of the season. With the news, Wander Franco might miss the entire playoffs and be out for the rest of his career, honestly, with the allegations against him right now. With McClanahan going down, they've got a big road ahead of them that they're going to have to go through. And the AL East is not an easy division for them. They could ultimately lose their spot, but we'll see what happens. Right now, they're 4.5 up on the final wild card spot, 5.5 up on Toronto for that final wild card spot. So, as far as Houston, I think they're very solidly in the playoff picture right now. I think Seattle's very solidly in there, at least at the moment. I'm not saying they're going to be there at the end of the season, though. I just don't think they have enough horses to be able to get it done. I think they're playing way above their heads, but they do have the momentum, and it's all about how long they can keep it. If they can keep this momentum, this stretch of great play going for, say, another 2-3 weeks, then I think they have every chance possible to get to the postseason. Nice play there by, was it Westberg? Yeah, Westberg flipped it over with the glove to first base to get Bichette for the first out of the inning. Oakland may lose to the Royals. Well, both of those teams aren't necessarily great this year. But the rest of this wild card picture, I think it's pretty much a 3 to 4 team race now. Seattle surprisingly has kept themselves in it with that big win streak they're on right now. 7 games in a row, probably going to go to 8 with all the White Sox news today. I do not expect the White Sox to play like a connected team or a interested or focused team, if you will. Toronto playing the Blue Jays right now. They currently lead 2-1 here in the top of the third. One away and Brandon Belt up. Walked in the first inning, takes a strike at the top of the zone, and it's now 1-1. Boston's 4 games back, but I'm not expecting them to really make a run here for the final wild card spot. I think they should have traded away a couple of more pieces. I think their mistake was in the offseason when they decided to not trade Rafi Devers and try to get as much back as they possibly could. They got the contract extension done. Good on them. Did not expect that, but I think their organization is more than a few steps away from being in a World Series level of contention. Right now, they're playing great baseball for what they're expected to do coming into the year, but right now they sit 4 games out of that wild card spot. I just don't think they're going to be able to make a run for that final wild card. But going ahead and losing Xander Bogaerts, not trading him at last year's deadline, I think was also a mistake. Strikeout here by Rodriguez, 2 away in the top of the third. Then you get down to the 2 teams that I think a lot of fan bases were really rooting for this year. The Angels, they invested heavy this season, went out and made all those additions this offseason. Then at the trade deadline, they traded away a good chunk of their prospect pool for rentals, by the way. And they also have Shohei Ohtani, who's going to be a free agent after this year. First pitch swinging here, and Vladdy is on in his second at bat of the day. 1 on, 2 away here in the third. Phillies right now are currently in the playoffs, yes. But the Yankees, of course, 1-9 in their last 10. They're right now 4 games under 500. I think Aaron Boone is out the door after this season. Cashman, I think, is going to make it for one more season, but I think one more season where they don't make the postseason, and he's gone as well. Them being able to bring back Aaron Judge, I think, gave him a little bit of a reprieve, for a stay of execution, if you will, but he'll be around at least through the offseason. For the Angels, this is going to be a team that's going to be absolutely terrible for the next 5 to 10 years. You look at how bad the A's looked to start the year. That's best case scenario right now for the Angels if they don't re-sign Shohei Ohtani. So just prepare for it if you're in LA. I think I'll put it this way. It was a gamble. It wasn't a good gamble. I think they should have traded Ohtani a couple years ago. They had the opportunity at the deadline 2 years ago. They had the opportunity after the season. They had the opportunity at the deadline this year. All of which they could have done. All of which would have been better than the option they chose. And that's where they sit. Now, we mentioned at the top of the video the Chicago White Sox. We had all the bad news around them today. Ken Williams, Rick Hahn out the door, relocation rumors, etc. All the turmoil around that team. Look where they are in the standings. They're 21 games back of that final wild card. They are not expected to be in contention anytime soon. I would not be surprised if we see Cease and Robert moved along with Eloy Jimenez. Pretty much any veteran that's not nailed down could very well be traded this offseason by the White Sox. You wish your Orioles had Ohtani? I would too, but I wouldn't have necessarily done it, though, if I'm the Orioles. Now, if you get him in free agency this offseason, great. You've saved a bunch of money over the last several years when you're playing bad baseball. Now that you're good again, bringing in a guy like Shohei Ohtani to be your DH every day, to be a number 1 in your starting rotation, probably takes some at-bats away from Adley Rutschman when he needs a day off, or Mountcastle when he needs a day off. Instead of having that DH spot available, that would be taken by Shohei Ohtani. So it would be great for your lineup, over 162, sure, but your versatility would go a little bit out the door if you were to bring in Shohei Ohtani. Looking on the National League side of things, Right now, Braves sit on top of the entire NL. I think they're clearly the class of the NL. Uh, Dodgers are right there in second place for me. Then it's kind of the best of the rest, honestly. Brewers have played some good baseball. They're 7-3 in their last 10. Philadelphia's played some good baseball, but they're 5-5 in their last 10. But they're 11 games over 500. I think they're solidly in the wild card right now. Cubs right now are playing pretty good baseball as well, 6-4 in their last 10, and they look to be pretty consistent as far as their ability to keep their head above water. Giants at times look like they're a good team, others not so much. And then you get down to the rest of this wild card stuff, and it's not a pretty picture when you get down to teams like Arizona and Cincinnati. Both very young teams, both showing their inexperience at different points this season. Diamondbacks couldn't win a game for about 3 weeks. Now they've won 8 of their last 10. Same thing for the Reds. They've had very similar types of production. But let's step back over to the game right now. We're heading to the bottom half of the third inning. Blue Jays still on top, 2-1. If you guys want to join us tomorrow evening, we're going to be doing another game of the Toronto and Orioles series here tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. And then after that game is over, we're going to go ahead and do a fantasy football live draft tomorrow night. We'll probably do 2 different drafts. We'll start with a salary cap or auction draft tomorrow night, and then a snake draft after that. So make sure you check out our quarterback ranking videos, along with the running back, the wide receiver, draft strategy videos as well. A lot of content coming your way, both for the football season coming up and for the baseball season as it winds to a close. Jorge Mateo up, takes strike 1 there. That one misses outside, 1-1. Kikuchi up to 30 pitches now. Baltimore right now on top of the Rays in the division by 3. On top of Toronto by 8.5. That one misses low, 2-1. Make it 2-2. Mateo hitting .209 this year. Former top prospect at a couple different stops. Played for the Yankees minor league system at one point, the A's at one point, and now on to the Orioles. Yankees are tied with the Nationals. A couple of bad teams there. Mateo in his career versus Kikuchi is 6 for 15, a .400 average. Has struck out 3 times though. The 2-2. Well outside, make it 3-2. Nice stop there by Jansen. A lot of discussion this offseason, or this past offseason, about what the Blue Jays should have done with their catchers. They had 3 of them going into the offseason. Moreno, Jansen, and Kirk. I think everybody right now in Toronto would rather have a guy like Moreno there at their catcher spot instead of Kirk. I think Jansen's a great defensive catcher, but I think Moreno really has shown himself to be a good, solid, everyday starting catcher right now in Major League Baseball, and he has a lot of potential ahead of him. Handles that pitching staff pretty well for a very young team, a very young pitching staff, and a very young catcher. I think the Jays would have been very wise to have held on to him and move a guy like Alejandro Kirk, who can't play every day behind the plate and likely is going to need to take up some of that DH time that Vlad Guerrero is going to need to use. So I think the Blue Jays would be better served defensively by taking Vladdy out of the field and making him the everyday DH, putting Brandon Belt or whoever as far as a better defensive player there at first base. But we'll see what they ultimately should do. Now that they've already made the decision to go with Kirk. Welcome back, Hank. They should trade for Sam Huff. I don't think he really has any value right now in the open market. Nice catch there by Springer. A little bit nonchalant for my taste, but able to make the play. Sam Huff, as I mentioned, doesn't have a whole lot of power right now in the open market. So I know I got a lot of Texas Rangers fans because I am based in Texas. So as far as what his future could look like, next year he could be the backup catcher for Texas, sure. But I think he could be used as kind of a filler type of piece, kind of a buy low option for a team at this offseason in a trade. I don't think his future necessarily is with the Texas Rangers long term, but maybe the Rangers finally feel like his bat and his glove are able to make it as a backup catcher every day on the major league level once Garver hits free agency. This one's popped foul 0-2. Blue Jays on top right now, 2-1. Bottom of the third. That one finishes low, 1-2. But as I was saying, if you guys have questions about pretty much anything about the baseball team or about your baseball team, about the way the standings are right now, about the Mariners and their hot streak, the White Sox and all their crazy rumors, this one's barely able to tap foul there by Rutschman. Remains 2-2. Showing the home run Rutschman hit off of Kikuchi back in June. Just able to get out. That one finishes low. 2-2. Hard hit ball into the gap, into the corner there. This will be a double for Rutschman. Nice work there. Misses the cutoff man, but doesn't matter. Rutschman stops at second either way. Nice work there by Rutschman to go down and get that one. Manoah for Huff, no for the Blue Jays, and no for the Rangers. Would I like another starting pitcher? Absolutely, but I would rather have the future of Sam Huff as my backup catcher than Manoah in my starting rotation right now. He's just too inconsistent this year. Now, could he, obviously be better? Absolutely. And that's why, for a Blue Jays perspective, I wouldn't do that trade either. He's got too much potential. He could figure things back out. Pitchers all the time, there's always a pitcher once or twice every season that gets the little bit of the yips. We saw him have that pretty much earlier this year. Remember, he got sent all the way down to high A baseball where he got tagged for 11 runs in minor league baseball in, I think it was 2 innings. It was a really horrible time for him down there, but he's certainly seemed to look a lot better since that point. So there's too much invested for the Blue Jays to be able to make that type of a move. Jansen throws on to first to complete the strikeout of Mountcastle. 2 away. Gunnar Henderson up. He's really starting to come into his own this season. I think he's really kind of understood what it takes to be an everyday Major League Baseball player. Got his average up now to 251. Was expecting him to have a great year this year, around 300, but did not happen. Had a single earlier in the game, stole a base, scored a run. 1-1 here to Henderson. The set by Kikuchi. This will be his 48th pitch. And it is popped up. Another one off the fist. Kikuchi is locating very well. Chapman and Kikuchi collide and makes the catch. Kikuchi's like, thumbs up. I don't think he heard Chapman calling for it, but able to make the play. That's because Chapman didn't call for it. He expected the pitcher to get out of the way. That's bad communication there by Chapman. Good defensive player, but you got to at least tell him, I got it, something. Hannah's a great player but needs to hit the home run. Well, he's young. He's going to develop a little bit more of that power as he gets a little older. Besides, I don't think you want him selling out for the home run. He's a great player as he is, and he's finally figuring out Major League pitching. Once he puts it all together, he's going to be a great player, and the power will be there enough as it is right now. He doesn't need to sell it out or sell out for it. In case you guys are joining us right now, we got the Blue Jays on top of the Orioles 2-1 as we go to the top of the fourth inning. 2 runs, 5 hits, no errors for Toronto. 1 run, 3 hits, no errors for Baltimore. As it says in the title of the video, though, big news out of Chicago today about relocation. I know we've touched on it quite a bit with Tampa Bay and Oakland in the past, but now the White Sox throwing their name into the mix as a team that might be willing to relocate. I don't think the team wanted that to come out, though. I think that's part of the reason why they decided to go ahead and make the decision today to move Williams and Hahn and remove them from their jobs anyway, remove them from their duties, relieve them of their duties. But I think that organization was probably going to relieve them of their duties at the end of the season anyway. But I think they just wanted to go ahead and get their entire, dirty laundry aired out right now with all the issues that they've had in the clubhouse, on the field, between their players, between other teams, poor performance for the last couple of years. Things have not gone well for the White Sox over the last, 2 years plus right now. They were expected to be a very good, high-quality team last year, fell on their face. This year, more of the same, even worse, honestly. They trade away almost their entire pitching staff at the trade deadline. I still think they could have traded away Dylan Cease or Robert, but maybe they want to drive up sales even higher this offseason. I think it's very likely that one or both of them is traded this offseason. They don't have a bright future. Those players are not going to be a part of the next winning team for the White Sox. So now's the time to go ahead and capitalize on their value and just see what you can get. Rodriguez out for his 4th inning of work. 1 away already here in the 4th. 1-0 here to Chapman. Swung on and missed right at the top of the zone. Not sure it would have been called a strike either way, but Chapman solves the issue and misses it. Chapman 1 for 1, singled back in the 2nd. This one is lined over Westberg's head into right center field. Mullins over to cut it off just in time to be able to keep Chapman there at first base. Danny Jansen digs in. This is where Rodriguez got into trouble the last time through the lineup. Springer, Varsho, Chapman, and Jansen. This one misses 1-1. Rodriguez up to 54 pitches I think he'll be happy to get through 6 at best at this point. You don't know why you're losing to the Blue Jays when you beat them 3 times. Well, Blue Jays are still a good team, and I still don't trust your Orioles pitching staff. That's why you're losing. Will you lose every game? Absolutely not. It's division rivalry. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. And both teams are very good this year. I think both teams will ultimately make the playoffs. The 1-2 pitch misses high, 2-2. Another one misses up and in. Runner on first, 1 away here in the top of the 4th. Kiermaier waits on deck. Remember this offseason the Jays wanted to make their lineup a lot more balanced. This one's grounded to short. Mateo will go ahead and throw on to first after Chapman got a great jump on that one. Able to beat the throw into second, so not worth the effort. They get the easy out at first. Two away here in the 4th. Nice curveball. Caught a little bit more of the plate than I think he wanted to, but gets the strike either way. Lined into a double play in his first at-bat. Remember that great play by Mountcastle when they already had 2 runs in the inning on the 2-run home run by Varsho. Then they had another couple runners on first and third anyway with nobody out. And then Kiermaier smashed that ball to first base. Mountcastle able to make a diving stop to his left, able to tag the base and record 2 outs unassisted. Don't know about Toronto making the playoffs. I think they'll get there. I don't trust Boston and I don't trust Seattle. The 1-2 pitch. Hard hit, right center field, going back and off the bottom of the wall. McKenna able to flag it down very, very quickly. But Kiermaier runs well, easily able to get in there with a stand-up double. And the score is now 3-1, Jays in front. Top of the lineup coming around now. Orioles pitching staff starting to look a little thin once again. This will be the 3rd time through the lineup now for Rodriguez. Up to 63 pitches here in the top of the 4th. It'll be Merrifield, then Bichette and Belt. Belt's had a nice resurgent year here with the Toronto Blue Jays. Right on the outside corner, 0-1. Seattle easy August schedule. Well, they just swept the Astros, so it's not all easy, but I do think Seattle is getting the benefit of playing some of the lower end teams in the division and others. I'll put it that way. There is opportunity for them to start to get into some trouble. We'll see if they're able to avoid those issues down the stretch, which I don't think they will. I don't think they have the pitching at the top that they're really going to need, or the depth. Some of their young pitchers have really taken a nice step forward this year, and we'll see. Merrifield 0 for 2 so far today. This one's hit hard, but a couple of bounces to the second baseman, and Merrifield is put away. We go to the bottom half of the 4th inning. 3 runs now on 7 hits, no errors for Toronto. 1 run on 3 hits, no errors for Baltimore. Again, if you guys are new here to the Upside, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. We cover all four major sports here: NFL, MLB, the NBA, and the NHL. We do quite a bit of fantasy football over the last couple of days as well. Covered the NBA trade deadline, the MLB trade deadline. We cover pretty much every single trade deadline live here on YouTube as well. Put out a video earlier today about the White Sox news, getting rid of Ken Williams and Rick Hahn. I think that absolutely was going to happen anyway with all the internal issues that they're having as far as running a franchise. Ken Williams, I don't think has been part of the day-to-day operations like he had used to have been. So I think this is more of an indictment against Rick Hahn and the culture that he's allowed to foster there. But Ken Williams is also going to be culpable for some of the things that have gone on and allowed Rick Hahn to go ahead and continue to do. For right now, it sounds like they're going to keep the manager through the end of the season. I do not expect him to be back after the season, though. That's just my own personal feelings on it. I just don't think you fire the GM and the president of baseball ops anyway without moving on from your manager so you can bring in your own guy. But we shall see. Welcome in, Robert. Appreciate you guys joining us. Thank you for the like in the chat. If you guys want to go ahead and hit that like button on the video as well, I would really appreciate it. And subscribe if you haven't already. Come on, Orioles. Well, your Orioles do need a little bit of a comeback here. They've already got 3 hits in the game, though. And they got a couple of good hitters coming up here with Hayes and Westberg. McCann to follow after that, and then Mullins. Two one count now to Hayes as we get started in the bottom of the 4th. Baltimore opened up the scoring in the bottom of the 1st. Got their only run of the game so far. The Varsho 2-run homer back in the 2nd. And then the Blue Jays tacked on another one in the 4th to make our score 3-1. 2-1 pitch. Swung on and missed. Nice curveball there at the bottom of the zone. 2-2. Kikuchi up to 52 pitches now. Here comes number 53. Lifted, kind of jammed off the fists a little bit. Springer drifts around a little bit and makes the catch for the first out here in the bottom half of the 4th inning. Westberg due up next. Doesn't have a whole lot of experience yet, but still looking to get his feet wet here in the major leagues. Good thing about Baltimore is they've done a nice job integrating younger talent in with this team and allowing it to grow. Nice hard hit ball into center. This one will get down in front of Kiermaier. 1-out single here for Westberg. McCann due up next, the former New York Met and Chicago White Sox. Curious to see what former White Sox players and fans are going to have to say about the possibility of their team relocating to the city of Nashville. That article coming out from The Athletic today is that they're at least discussing the possibility of relocation, with Nashville being listed as the primary site they would like to go to if something were to happen. McCann takes well outside, ball 1, up and away. Orioles looking to get something started here in the bottom of the 4th. Kikuchi so far tonight, 3 1/3, 4 hits, 1 run, 1 earned, 4 strikeouts, and no walks. This one off the end of the bat, but lifted into left center, and the left fielder will get it in time. Oh, almost had a play on him at second base, but the throw bounces off his glove. In either case, it'll be 2 on with 1 away here in the bottom of the fourth. Looks like we're going to get a mound visit. Kikuchi's pitched well, thrown a lot of strikes, but he's starting to give up some contact now at this point. Not hard contact, but just things that are constantly getting through. Two on, 1 out for arguably the Orioles' best player over the last 2 or 3 years. Rutschman, of course, now their consistent MVP candidate at this point. Mullen's star has started to fade a little bit as far as his overall importance to this team, with Rutschman taking over that lead dog role. Falls behind quickly, 0-2 now. Home run here would give the Orioles the lead. Mullins this year with runners in scoring position hitting .347, 4 homers, and 45 RBIs. A little bit of a walk there by Mullins on his time out there. Swung on and missed, 96 right at the letters. Nice work there by Kikuchi to get the out of Mullins. Mike Elias, the GM there in Baltimore, speaking with their media. It'll be up to McKenna to keep this inning going for Baltimore, hitting .248 on the year. He's come through in some big moments before. We'll see if he's able to do it once again. Again, runners on first and second, 2 outs now. McKenna the righty, Kikuchi the lefty. Strike one right at the bottom of the zone, 96 again. McKenna 0 for 1 so far, popped out back in the second inning. This one kind of an inside-out swing there by McKenna, but Springer is able to get over there and run it down before it gets to the track. Nice work. And we go to the top of the fifth. 3 runs, 7 hits, no errors for Toronto. 1 run, 5 hits, no errors for Baltimore. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe. Go ahead and flip over to the standings once again so you guys can check out where your team is at right now. Right now, Baltimore sitting on top in the entire American League. Got a few game lead right now on the Tampa Bay Rays, but I'm not expecting Tampa Bay to really hold on the rest of the way. I think there's a real question about whether or not Tampa Bay is even a playoff team at this point, because there's no longer Shane McClanahan to solve things from a pitching perspective. They brought in Savali, who they thought was going to be one of their number 2 or 3 type starters behind him. Now they're going to ask him to fill a little bit more of a role. And then you look at the way the team has been playing as a whole. The power numbers have certainly dropped off from their very hot start that they had in the first couple of months of the season. Factor in the loss of Wander Franco, not just for this season, but what could be for his entire career. And Tampa Bay could seriously be in trouble, not just for this season, but for the next couple of years. Looks like the Rockies have just tied it against Tampa Bay in the 6th inning. 3-3 there. As far as Toronto, right now they sit 1 game out of that final wild card. I do expect them to ultimately clinch that final wild card at some point. Let's go ahead and flip back over to the game. Check in on some of the other scores from around baseball. Kind of an offensive slugfest right now in Detroit. They have now retaken the lead 7-6 over the Cubbies. Still waiting for the score to update in that Tampa Bay game. Giants have taken the lead now against Philadelphia, 3-2 in Philly. Pittsburgh and St. Louis tied at 1. Same for Yankees and Nationals. Our game right now, 3-1, of course, as we enter the 5th inning. Dodgers on top of the Guardians, 3-2. Braves have jumped out to a 2-0 lead over the Mets. Looks like the Astros and Red Sox are scoreless. Mariners and White Sox are scoreless as Bichette pops this one up shallow right field, and McKenna makes the play for the first out of the top of the 5th. Twins and Brewers are scoreless, and then final 3 or 4 games here have not gotten underway yet so far. Brennan Belt due up next. Worked a walk and a strikeout so far today. Takes a strike on the inside corner. The 0-1. This one misses off the plate by about a foot. 1-1. Belt, the DH today, hitting in the 3 spot. Fouls this one off. 1-2 now. Just misses off the corner. Rodriguez wanted that one. 2-2. Up to 71 pitches. This will be number 72. Thrown a good number of strikes today. 48 strikes to 23 balls. 71 total. This one's lifted into short center. Coming on is Mullins. Is he going to get there? He does. Nice job by Mullins tracking that one down. While he was on a rehab assignment not too long ago, Mullins robbed a minor leaguer of a home run. Pretty good center fielder out there, both defensively and offensively. Looks like the Rays now no longer have the lead. It's now 4-3, as you just saw that pop up at the bottom left of our screen. This one's hard hit through the hole, and Guerrero is on for the 2nd time today. Grounded into a double play when they were threatening back in the first, but has redeemed himself a little bit over the last couple of at-bats. Only hitting .268 this year. Slug is down a little bit. OPS is down a little bit from his career numbers, but that's part of the reason why the Blue Jays aren't quite as good. Mainly would be the pitching staff is the main issue for the Blue Jays. Not having Alex Manoah right early in the season certainly cost them. They had to go through his struggles and try to see if they could solve it at the major league level. Ultimately, they decided to go ahead and send him down. Springer due up next, also has struck and had a walk so far today. Scored his run on that home run from Varsho. Fouls this one off, and it's 0-2. The way the pace of this game is going right now, Rodriguez probably gets through the 6th if he doesn't get in too much trouble here, rounding out this inning. This one misses about a foot above the zone. McCann tells him to calm down and keep it down. Good battle here. Springer staying alive, fouls it off once again. Springer in right field, batting 5th. No longer a member of the Houston Astros. Been a couple of years now since he made the move to go to Toronto. This one's off the fist, fouled back. Rodriguez taking his time here, stretching a little bit. Guerrero back in there safely on the lazy toss over to first. Still 1-2 here. This will be pitch number 79. Chased that one. It was a good 3 or 4 inches inside off the plate, and Springer goes down swinging. Second strikeout for Springer so far today. 3 runs, 8 hits, no errors for the Blue Jays. 1 run, 5 hits, no errors for the Orioles. We go to the bottom half of the 5th inning. It'll be Mateo, Rutschman, and Mountcastle, 9, 1, and 2 for the Orioles. We're going to go ahead and stretch our legs here for just a moment. You guys are more than welcome to do the same. We'll be back in about 60 seconds, so don't go too far. And we're back anyway, back for the bottom half of the 5th inning. Kikuchi back out there. He's up to 64 pitches right now as he works to Jorge Mateo, the number 9 hitter in the lineup. Quickly got ahead 0-2 here, as this one is fouled back for Mateo. He's the shortstop, at least for right now. Number 1 prospect in the game. Jackson Holiday, anyway, will be their everyday shortstop, at least it seems like from outside looking in. Looks like Houston's off to a nice start here tonight. They take a 2-0 lead early against Boston. Hard hit ball over Bichette's head and into left field. And Mateo is on with a leadoff single to left. Adley Rutschman due next. Had a double his last time up. 1 for 2 so far today. Fouls the first pitch he sees off. Quickly behind 0-1. Blue Jays certainly happy to have Bo Bichette back in the lineup right now. Just imagine where this team would have been without him. That's why they went ahead and made the trade to get Paul DeJong there. Obviously, DeJong is no longer on this team. He has since been released and now has signed a contract with the San Francisco Giants. That deal becoming official today. But they needed the insurance just in case that injury for Bichette was more serious than what they had was as serious as they had originally thought. They got some really good news. They were fortunate to avoid a major injury, but Bichette is back in the lineup every day now for them, and looks like he's good to go the rest of the way. They didn't need him on the roster at that point, so they decided to go ahead and cut their losses. Nice save by Vlad Guerrero there, saving that throw from going into right field. Mateo's got a nice lead over there at first, but does not go that time, and this one is fouled off once again by Rutschman. Now finds himself behind 0-2. Mountcastle to be next. He's their first baseman, struck out twice so far today. Then it would be Henderson, Hayes, and Westberg. This one's tapped foul down the third base line. This remains 0-2. Rutschman getting the day off from behind the plate. McCann, the starter, behind the plate today. We talked a little bit earlier about Ohtani would be a nice fit there, but it would really take away the opportunity to play Rutschman when he's not catching at DH. He could, of course, play first base, sure, but we shall see. That one misses outside. Now 1-2 to the Orioles MVP candidate. Mateo with a little bit bigger lead this time. The 1-2. Nice, basically the same exact type of a hit there by Rutschman as Mateo. Carbon copies of each other. And it'll be 2 on, nobody out here in the bottom of the 5th. Blue Jays going to go ahead and take a mound visit here. Kikuchi up to 70 pitches here through 4+ innings, 5 strikeouts so far today, only 1 earned run as of yet. A lot of updates happening right now. You can see how my scoreboard at the bottom of the screen is kind of flickering all over the place with all the changes. Have to reinstall that one just to make sure. Orioles broadcast having a ton of guest speakers here tonight. They had Ed Reed. They had Elias, their GM out there. Another guest in the studio right now for them as well, while we wait for this mound visit to end. Mountcastle always plays well against the Blue Jays, it seems, to be due up next. So far, he struck out twice so far, though. Lefty facing the righty here. First pitch right at the knees, 96-mile-an-hour fastball, 0-1. Looks like Garcia is loosening out there in that Toronto bullpen. This one is lined out to left. Varsho is going to go ahead and throw into second. Airmails his throw again. That's the second or third time we've seen Varsho completely airmail a throw. I get it. You want to catch him off guard. You get him too far leaning, etc. You want to make something happen for your team, but that ball sails in the wrong direction. You're talking about not just your runner at second scoring, but that runner at first base getting all the way over to third with less than 2 outs. All because you couldn't hit the cutoff man, or at least keep that throw down to not get past second base. Gunnar Henderson due up next. 1 for 2 so far, a single, a stolen base, and scored a run. This one gets a very generous call beneath the zone. That ball was clearly low. And Kikuchi is ahead 0-1. Welcome back, Bruce. Can you please say if you feel the Orioles are cheating by stealing signs or taking roids? Do I feel like the Orioles are cheating? No. I think baseball is a lot better sport as far as how they take care of both the players on the field and off. I think players nowadays are such highly trained athletes. They're fine-tuned to whatever way they need to go, that they don't really like ingesting chemicals that they don't need or that are not helpful to them. So as far as the cheating angle of it, we've seen how other players have been treated once they're named with that label of a cheater, how it doesn't necessarily ring the same for their career the rest of the way. I think that's part of the reason why the Hall of Fame, uh, I think, continually keeps out guys like Bonds and Clemens, just to make sure that argument always is there for those players who might be on the fence about whether or not to do the right thing or not. But eventually, I think we'll get to a point where it won't matter one way or the other, and players will just play. I think there's so much money in the game that they should be able to get this thing figured out both at the minor league level from those players trying to make it to the big leagues and at the major league level for players trying to break through in the major leagues. Figure eight, I don't know why some people believe they cheat to be good players. I agree, they're so good. They've been playing at this level or at seriously advanced levels since they were like 8, 9 years old. I remember playing, uh, in my little league down here. I considered myself an all-star in the league. I was one of the best starting pitchers at that time. I was, what, 10 years old, 11, 12, very young. And I thought I was good at that age. No. This one gets into center, and that will allow Mateo to score. Wow. Double steal there, and the throw goes to second. Just a mistake there by McCann and unable to make the play. McCann kept the ball down on his throw into second. So I think if they at least scoop the ball there and at least keep the ball in front of him instead of just trying to get the out there of Rutschman, they had a chance to get Rutschman. But once that throw bounced, or at least it looks like it's going to bounce, you need to make sure you get your body in front of it. That allows the run to score there. I think that's going to go as an error on Jansen. But 3-2 now is the score here in the bottom of the fifth. Now with the runner in scoring position now at second base with 2 away, it'll be Hayes due up. Takes inside ball 1. You feel the Orioles have you have many good players who have talent. I agree. I just don't think they're necessarily as talented as other folks think they are. You saw the projections if you watch the Orioles broadcast that pretty much everybody has them as the number 1 farm system right now in the minor leagues. I don't think that's the case. I don't think there's another Adley Rutschman outside of, say, a Holiday or something like that. I don't believe in their pitching as far as their prospects that they've got coming either. Now, could they figure it out? Absolutely. I just don't think they will at this point, and I haven't been proven otherwise as of yet. So, 2-1 now the count to Hayes. Make it 3-1 as that one misses low and in. Not the worst thing for a walk right here, but Westberg's a good offensive second baseman anyway, especially at the minor league level, hitting .265 so far this year. Raises batting average by 6 points because of how little he's played at the big league level so far. But he is going to be one of their starters going forward for the long term. This one's fouled off. Make it 3-2 now. So far today, Toronto 3 runs, 8 hits, 1 error. Baltimore 2 runs, 7 hits, no errors. Here comes the 3-2 pitch. That one misses inside. Ball 4. 2 on, 2 out now here in the fifth. Could we see the end of Kikuchi here? I think we will. And looks like the manager is coming out of the dugout. He is going to go with Garcia. 4 2/3. Kikuchi pitched well for the first 4 innings. Ran into some serious trouble here in the fifth and just couldn't escape. We'll see if this is the right move for them in their bullpen. I'm sure Kikuchi is disappointed in how this one ended for him. He'd pitched well up until this point. while we wait for the pitching change to finish, I just want to remind you guys that we'll be doing a live later on this evening as well, Rangers and Diamondbacks, as soon as this one is over, if this one gets over in time, I should say. Tomorrow we'll be doing another game of this Toronto and Blue Jays and Orioles series at 6:05, and then we'll be doing a live fantasy football draft for you guys. Football is right around the corner. We're going to cover quite a bit of football this year. We didn't do too much as far as games last year. Usually took the day off from work and just kind of relaxed in the second half of the year last year on Sundays, and enjoyed watching the games with the folks or just kind of watching the Sunday ticket, etc. But we will be doing some content for you guys as far as actual games like we do here. Probably do it as both kind of a fantasy on one side of the screen that we can kind of see how the fantasy teams that we've been drafting are doing, and then you can kind of see on the other side of the screen, maybe one or two games and how where the ball's at, all that kind of thing. I cannot broadcast the actual game, obviously. I do not have that negotiating power with the NFL, but we will have a lot of fun with it here this season. We're going to try to do the opening game. I know I usually close at work that day, but I'm going to try to be as quick as I can to get home and watch that one with you guys. Detroit versus the Kansas City Chiefs. So make sure you join us for that. Follow us on Twitter at UpsideSN if you want to be notified when we do go live, when we do post a video as well. We will share it there. Just waiting for the commercial break to end here. Blue Jays currently lead the Orioles 3-2 here in the bottom of the fifth inning. Orioles have tacked on one more run to get one closer here, but 3 runs, 8 hits, 1 error for Toronto. 2 runs, 7 hits, no errors so far for Baltimore. Kikuchi's line 4 2/3, 7 hits, 2 walks, 2 runs, both earned, 1 walk and 6 strikeouts. As we are back from commercial break. First pitch to Westberg, right down Broadway, 96-mile-an-hour fastball, 0-1. Garcia on the year, 56 games, 3-4 record, 4.03 ERA in 51 innings, has 58 strikeouts and 12 walks, has given up 6 homers. That one just misses off the outside corner. Westberg able to hold up on the swing, 1-1. Garcia this year has done great as far as stranding runners. 20 of 21 have been stranded on the base, good for 95%. That one misses there outside, 2-1 now. All Kikuchi can do here is just look on and wait for his fellow teammate to be able to get the job done. The 2-1. Up and in, kind of tapped foul off the catcher's mitt. Jansen unable to hold on to it. 2-2. Westberg on the backswing. Looks like he smacked Jansen's hand. One-two pitch here for Garcia. 2-2 pitch for Garcia. Lifted foul, and we'll do it again. Got 17 of you guys with us right now. Make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already. Seen a few of you guys do that in the chat as well. We certainly appreciate that. Feel free to ask any questions at any time. Feel free to interact with our chat. We'd love to hear from you. The 2-2 fouled off again. 85-mile-an-hour off speed here to Westberg. Orioles trying to claw their way back in this one. 2 on, 2 out, 2-2 pitch here in the bottom of the fifth inning. This will be the 7th pitch of the at-bat. Who is my favorite team, and who are your favorite players? Favorite team, the Rangers. We'll get into favorite players here in a second. The 2-2 hit hard down the line. Is it fair? It is, and into the corner. This is going to be a double. This will at least be a tie game. Will they send the runner? They will not. It'll be second and third. 3-3 the score. Garcia does not strand all the runners again. Thank you for hitting that like button. Really does help us out, Bruce. Thank you very much. But 3-3 the ball game now. That's the 10th double of the season now for Westberg. Looks like he's finally getting comfortable here at the big league level, coming through in a big spot here in the bottom of the 5th. McCann due up next anyway. He is the catcher today for the Orioles, having a big bounce back year for him. Exit velocity on that one, 106 off the bat. You can see why the Orioles really like his talent, but you can also see why this farm system is going to fall very, very quickly, because a lot of that top-end talent is going to age out of that system very soon, and then they're going to have to move forward from there. Now, could they replace it? Absolutely. Could players get better within their system? Absolutely. But they have some really nice high-end pieces in their farm system. Holiday is just one of them, and they got a lot of top-end pitching prospects. I have yet to see them really solidify themselves as major league type pitchers as of yet, but I can be convinced otherwise with performances later on. McCann quickly falls behind 0-2. 1 for 2 so far today with a flyout and a single. Hitting 6th in the lineup today for the Orioles. Mullins waits on deck, 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts for Mullins so far today. That one appeared to either hit the bat or his wrist or both. On the 0-2 pitch, I wonder if it caught the wrist and the bat handle. For now, they're going to say he's just going to go on to first base, hit by pitch. Let's see if we can get a replay of that one. Looks like the bases will be loaded here either way, right off the wrist. All the way. McCann immediately dropped the bat. That's a scary injury there for a catcher. There's nothing but small bones right in here, and that's right where he got hit. Garcia's come in and not been very effective so far today. Bases loaded, 2 outs now here in the 5th. Score is 3-3, 2 runs already in here in the bottom of the 5th. And Mullins, McKenna due up after that hit by pitch to McCann. As far as favorite players, I always liked Nelson Cruz from his days with the Rangers. Followed his career since then. Really respect how he plays the game, even after the steroid, issues or what PED issues or whatever that he may have had. He's a player who made something of himself after everybody else literally had given up on him. He was one of those what they called 4A players, which means they couldn't really play well at the major league level, but they were too good for AAA. He'd been classified that as that type of player for years. Rangers gave him a chance, and he made the best of his situation. Do you feel that if the Angels DFA Anthony Rendon, that the Rangers should pick him up? No, I do not. This one's lifted out into left. The bases loaded jam is over, and Mullins is retired on 1 pitch. But Westberg gets the job done, ties it up here in the bottom of the 5th. We go to the 6th. 3-3, brand new ball game is our score. 3 runs, 8 hits, 1 error for Toronto. 3 runs, 8 hits, no errors for Baltimore. As far as the DFAing of Anthony Rendon, it just hasn't worked with Anthony Rendon out there in LA. I'm not sure what the future holds for him or the Angels, but should be a very interesting offseason as far as what the Angels do with Ohtani. There are other free agent players that they have this year, because remember, they brought in a ton of rentals here at the deadline. And then as far as the Rangers, of course they could use a third baseman right now, but I think they're very happy playing with Smith and Duran over there at this point. I think the Rangers, though, should have added a bat at some point this offseason. They never did, even after telling us they absolutely would add a middle-of-the-order bat. They did not do that again at the trade deadline. Instead, they go for starting pitching. I thought they should have pushed their chips a little bit more to the center and gone after a guy like Pete Alonso. I'm sure Pete Alonso would absolutely love to be anywhere but on that New York Mets team right now, how poorly that situation has gone for them this year. I feel it would be a good idea, as Rendon is good if healthy and Young is hurt. Well, Young's not too far away. We're probably looking 3 weeks, 4 weeks away from a return for Young. And when Duran gets more playing time, usually he plays better. Smith is the same kind of a case. I'm not willing to, I'm not willing to upset the apple cart, if you will, and take away playing time from those young players to bring in a guy like Anthony Rendon. The Rangers had a lot of interest in him when he was a free agent before he signed that big mega deal with the Angels. In fact, their average annual value was actually higher. It was just on a shorter term deal. Rangers took advantage of one team here at the trade deadline on the New York Mets eating so much money of that Max Scherzer deal that basically they're getting a frontline starter essentially for what, $20 million over 2 years, a year and a half. Looks like we're back here in the top of the 6th inning. It'll be Varsho, Chapman, and Jansen for the Blue Jays. Varsho doing a lot of the heavy lifting for this lineup today. Had that 2-run home run back in the 2nd inning. That one misses well inside 1-0. This one's popped up behind the plate and out of play. 1-1. I know we got a lot of football fans ready for some actual football to start, and not just preseason or gossip or hard knocks or quarterback or anything that's not actually on the field. But should be a very fun season. New York Jets adding Aaron Rodgers. Going to do some videos about the Jets and what their chances look like now that they've got both Dalvin Cook, Breece Hall in their backfield, Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback. I still think they could use one more receiver, but should be a very good team overall. 2-2 the count now as Webb gets loose in that Baltimore bullpen with Rodriguez up to 83. This will be pitch number 84. Here in the top of the 6th. This one off the end of the bat, rolled out to Westberg, who had that RBI double in the bottom half of the 5th. One away here in the top of the 6th. Nice skyline there in Baltimore. Chapman 2 for 2 so far today. Scored a run. Hitting .251 so far. Looks like the mask needed some repairs for the Orioles there. Oh, 0-1 now here on Chapman. This one misses. Now 1-1. Is that McCann still staying in the game? Now we've got right and left action out there in the bullpen. Perez getting loose out there. This one misses up and in. 2-1. I think the Orioles would really like to see Rodriguez get through the 6th here. I think it would be a great step for his development. Would go as a quality start, giving up 3 runs over 6 innings. 2-2 now after that one's tapped foul at third base. Rodriguez evening the count there against Chapman. If Chapman can get hot for the final month of the season, he could see a big improvement in his payday this offseason. Sure, he's under a ton of pressure. This one is tapped foul again of third base. This will be pitch number 90. I think this is the final inning either way for Rodriguez at this point. 98 at the letters right on the outside corner. Nice pitch there by Rodriguez. That was the best pitch I've seen him throw so far today. Gets the strikeout of Chapman, puts him away. Two away now in the top of the sixth. Danny Jansen due up. He's been relying primarily on his fastball changeup combination, his off-speed pitch using more kind of just to mix things up a little bit. The 0-1 pitch misses low and away. 1-1. Swung on and missed just off the outside corner, but Jansen offered at it. Now 1-2. Blue Jays would really love to win this game and at least close a little bit of the ground on the Orioles if they decide to make a real run at the division. I don't think they have any chance of winning. Takes strike three right down Broadway. And Rodriguez is through six. Nice work by Rodriguez to get through six after his early troubles, giving up 8 hits in his outing today, but I think he is done after that one. Nice work there to finish off there for Rodriguez. Something for him to really build on going forward as well. But Toronto really hoping to kind of gain some ground, especially with all the issues ahead of them that they're going to have to deal with. The hot streak of the Mariners. They have the Astros, of course, the defending champs. You have the Rays up there who got off to that greatest start in their franchise's history, or at least close to it. They played fantastic. In case you guys are just joining us and haven't heard the news about the Chicago White Sox, they have relieved Ken Williams, who's been with the organization for more than a decade of duties. They've also relieved Rick Hahn, who's been with the organization since Ken Williams got elevated up to that level. And big changes anyway in White Sox country. All the issues that they had coming into the season, all the issues they had last season, we knew there was going to be some movement. I think everybody expects the manager at one point to get the axe. For now, media outlets are saying that he's going to stay at least for the time being. I think a new GM, whoever that ultimately is going to have something to say about that and will want to hire his own guy. There were all kinds of professional issues as far as locker room issues with that team this year, management of the roster, etc. They made some big-time trades to kind of make their team better for the long run as far as selling at the deadline most of their pitching staff. They still have some of their best pieces in Cease, Robert, Jimenez that they could move in this offseason. But today, in case you missed it, the headline, the first thing that came out about the White Sox today was that the owner was actually considering moving to Nashville. We'd heard for years about the Tampa Bay Rays wanting to move, the Oakland A's be willing to move, but it's the Chicago White Sox, one of the most connected teams with the city of Chicago or any other city, and that team could be connected to them, and it seems like at least ownership is at least floating the idea of them being interested in no longer living in the shadow of the Chicago Cubs. They want to have their own market, or at least are open to the idea of one. Of course, this could all be a ploy as far as allowing them to be able to, drum up a higher sale price if they ultimately decide to sell the team to somebody who wants to keep the market in Chicago. Nashville is a smaller market. However, that market is absolutely rabid for baseball. They have a very successful AAA team there. They draw really well at it, and they have for years. That market is thirsty for some Major League Baseball. Everybody pretty much expects it to be an expansion team that goes in there. There are a number of other expansion sites around the country and even in Canada that are open to bringing in a baseball team. Baseball as a sport is very good overall. The attendance is up pretty much across the board, 9 to 10%. Viewership is up across the board. The only issue is, of course, the regional baseball TV contracts with Bally Sports, etc., the Diamond Sports Management Group, but they will resolve that issue at one point. But as things stand right now, we'll see what happens with Chicago, but baseball is in a very good space. The White Sox specifically, after that news came out from The Athletic, that the ownership group was at least looking at the idea of looking into relocation, with Nashville being one of the sites listed as a possibility, that this team was going to have a very tough media day. And I think to kind of help save face, or at least take more of their lumps all at one time rather than spacing it out and letting go of Hahn and Williams after the season, they're going to go ahead and get everything out in the open right now. Now the manager, I think, just is going to hold the fort at least until they get to the end of the season, and then he's gone. But as things stand right now, the White Sox are in complete disarray. They were a contender as soon as a year and a half ago. Everybody was expecting them to win the division running away last year, and they didn't. They weren't very good, and they were expecting a rebound of at least some level of a rebound from them this year to keep them in contention. Right now, there are 21 games out of a wild card spot. Safe to say they are not in contention. Richards gets the strikeout there to begin the inning. Working here in the bottom of the sixth. That one bounces in the dirt 1-0 to Mateo. Mateo, of course, scored that first run that got that rally started in the fifth. Got the base hit into left. Nails the outside corner, 1-1. But the White Sox have been in for a very rough ride so far this season. Locker room issues, sleeping in the dugout, sleeping in the bullpen area, unprofessional behavior both in and out of the clubhouse. All of that being reported by both former players and current players on their roster when speaking privately with media reports. And even though Rick Hahn came out and said, "Hey, there's nothing to this. I don't know what you're talking about. We're completely, professional here. We know what we're doing. This was totally not happening." Something had to be happening, not just, just your poor performance this year as a team. I think the team as a whole probably would have been fine with you as a GM and a president of baseball ops till the end of the season, but I think they chose to do it now. One, because of the timing of the news coming out about the relocation. Two, because they already knew they were going to get the axe anyway at the end of the season. And then three, they ultimately deserved it. They haven't played well. Their front office hasn't been able to put a winning team together, whether that be just poor selection of the manager, whatever the case may be. It hasn't resulted in W's. Two away now here in the bottom of the sixth. This one's hit right back up the middle. Soft grounder to Bichette on to first, and Rutschman is retired. We go to the seventh. 3-3 our score. Appreciate you guys joining us tonight. If you guys are unfamiliar here with the Upside, we cover Major League Baseball, the MLB, of course. You got the NHL, the NBA, and the NFL fantasy football drafts. We're going to be doing a couple of those for you live tomorrow night. You can check out our ranking shows for quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and our draft strategy as well. Things to get you prepared for your draft for your fantasy football league. You can check out some live drafts we've already done so that way you can see how drafts are typically going. We had one of the toughest salary cap drafts I've ever had in my entire life last night. You can check out that one around the hour 15 mark, I believe, is when that one started. Pretty much every player in that draft room was very disciplined in how they were spending their money. Usually you have one or two guys that it's like, hey, I want Justin Jefferson, I got to have him. So they spend, gobs and gobs of money on him. But everybody is very, very disciplined with their money. Very few players got overpaid for. And it was just a very good room if you guys want to check that one out. We're going to do live for you guys tomorrow, doing another fantasy football live for you guys at 9 o'clock tomorrow evening when we cover the Toronto-Baltimore game at 6 o'clock tomorrow in the afternoon as well. We'll make some other video content for you guys as well, updating you guys on the Ken Williams, Rick Hahn situation, what's going on with relocation in the White Sox, what's going on as far as around the entire sport, what's up with Seattle, why are they winning all these games, how long are they going to be able to hold on to this momentum. But we'll be back here in just a moment. Going to stretch our legs here before we see the first pitch here of the seventh inning. But don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 60 seconds. And we are back anyway. For the top of the seventh, Rodriguez is out, Webb is on. 6 innings, gave up 3 runs, 8 hits. Nice work there by Rodriguez today to be able to get through 6 innings after giving up that early 2-run home run to Varsho in the second. Kiermaier falls behind now, 2-2 now, here to Webb. Webb working quickly here. This one's lined over the head of the third baseman and into left. Kiermaier is on. He's hit the ball hard all 3 times here today. He's really been a nice piece here for this Toronto offense. Like when everybody thought when they signed him that he was going to be kind of a nice left-handed hitter for them to kind of balance out that lineup, and he's been a godsend for them. A lot better than I think anybody expected him to be. He's had a nice season for them. Merrifield hitting .296, 0 for 3 though so far today. Fouls off, strike 1. Baltimore sitting 77-47, Toronto 69-56. Baltimore really taking a nice step forward this year. Be curious how their pitching staff develops though over the next year or two. This one's fouled off. Hold on. That was just a replay of that one. Good swing on that one, at least by Merrifield. Now 0-2 to Merrifield. Webb getting ahead of him. Catching just enough of the corner. Bo Bichette back in the lineup, as we mentioned, hitting .320 this year. He's kind of been the most productive hitter in this lineup so far this season, especially with Guerrero Jr. having a little bit of a down year. This one's fouled off. Nope, they're calling it a swing and a miss. Strikeout for Merrifield there as Hicks starts to get loose out there in the bullpen. Remember, Jordan Hicks came over from the St. Louis Cardinals at the deadline. Perez looks like he's getting loose in that Baltimore bullpen should things get nasty here in the 7th. Bichette reaching for that one. Swung on and missed a bouncing ball in the dirt. 0-1. Bichette this year, .320 average, as I mentioned, 18 home runs and 61 RBIs. Looks like they're trying to pitch to him away pretty consistently here, at least so far today. Not able to catch up with the fastball in the inner half of the plate. Quickly ahead, 0-2 now is Webb. That one bounces in the dirt. Nice stop there by McCann. 1-2. This one's popped up. Shallow right field. Plenty of room is McKenna anyway, and right. And Kiermaier jogs back to first. 2 away. Brennan Belt due up next for the Blue Jays. Last hope for the Blue Jays here in the 7th. Looks like we're going to get a pitching change here. Looks like they're going to go with Perez out of the bullpen. Webb pitched well here. A little curious that they're not going to go ahead and just leave him in to finish off the inning. Guess they want to go left on left here. While we wait for this commercial break and the pitching change anyway, just want to remind you guys that we've got the NFL season coming up in about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. We will be live for you guys a lot more this year than we ever have been before. We're going to try to cover a little bit more of the Thursday night games as well. We might miss the first kickoff and maybe the first drive of the game, but most of the games, every single Thursday, we will have for you live here on YouTube. If for some reason we can't get the game started fast enough to really catch the early parts of the game, we're probably going to do one of the late baseball games instead. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe. And then on Sundays, I will be covering at least 2, sometimes 3 games for you guys on Sundays. We'll try to cover one in the early window, we'll cover one in the late window, and then we'll try to do the Sunday night game for you guys as well. Some combination thereof. If there's not really a great game on, I know sometimes in the afternoon that block of the schedule is usually they try to do 1 or 2 games early in the season that are pretty good, and then they leave one good game, and that's it in the second half of window or in the late window on Sundays. On those days when those games aren't exactly great, we'll probably flip over and do some baseball. So don't be a stranger. The NBA season is around the corner as well. Probably looking mid-October when that gets going, end of October, and we should be doing some lives of them as well. Did quite a few games in our first year doing the upside for basketball as well. We're going to try to get back into doing that. Try to cover all 4 sports, primary sports here in the U.S. pretty evenly, but we've gotten quite a few of you guys to join us from baseball through our trade deadline coverage, and we're certainly going to try to continue to focus on that the rest of the way. Looks like Perez is about ready here in the top of the 7th. He'll be facing Belt here with 2 outs and a runner on first base. Belt has walked and struck out so far today. First pitch here is a strike right at the bottom of the zone there. Friendly corner. Looked like a strike all the way though. Belt hitting .253, 13 home runs, 34 RBIs. Belt trying to sneak a peek at the signs there. This time gets the friendly call on the corner, almost the exact same location as you can see on the screen, but just a hair outside. Looks like they're trying to pitch him away pretty consistently. That one misses further away, and it's now 2-1. Really don't want this inning to continue past Belt here. You really want Guerrero to bat at the top of the 8th inning. You don't want him to face him here in the 7th. This one slashed foul by Belt. Kiermaier was stealing second on that one. Slides in safely, but was like, hey, do I really need to go back to first? Mateo having a little bit of fun at Kiermaier's expense. The 2-2. Again off the end of the bat. Lifted foul and he stays alive. Belt looking for his first hit of the game. Perez looking to lock the door here. Keep it a 3-3 tie here in the 7th. They're going to say he went around on that one. That pitch low in it, or kind of below the zone, tagged out, and that's the 3rd out of the inning. Perez comes on and shuts the door. 3 runs, 9 hits, 1 error for the Blue Jays. 3 runs, 8 hits, no errors for the Orioles. And we go to the bottom 7th, tied 3-3. It'll be Mountcastle, Henderson, and Hayes for the Orioles due up for them in the bottom of the 7th. Looks like Tampa Bay is kind of stretching it out now. They're now 8-4 over the Rockies at home. Let's check in on that scoreboard. Looks like Detroit and the Cubs have finally decided to stop scoring runs. It's now 7-6 still in the bottom of the 8th. We just mentioned the Rays and Rockies score 8-4. Giants still on top 3-2 over Philadelphia. Pittsburgh in front of St. Louis 6-3. St. Louis scratching their way back a little bit now. Our score tied at 3. Nationals in front of the Yankees 2-1. Guardians in front of the Dodgers now 7-3. A little bit of a surprise there. Dodgers, though, I'm sure have a lot more on their minds than baseball at the moment with the hurricane out on the West Coast. I'm sure the East Coast gets them all the time, and they're like, hey, it's just one tiny little tropical storm. Why are you guys worried about it? Just deal with it. You tell us to deal with it all the time. Well, there's certain areas of the country that are prepared for those types of storms. They have infrastructure in place to recover from those types of storms. The West Coast is not used to getting hurricanes like the ones they have to deal with, and it seems like they're actually recovering pretty well so far. But I'm sure their loved ones, they want to make sure everybody's, not, losing, property or lives or stranded or anything like that. But Dodgers, I'm sure, have a lot more on their minds than baseball, is my point. That might be part of the reason why they're not playing as well against a team that they should clearly be clubbing. Braves right now on top of the Mets, 3-0. Houston still 2-0 over the Red Sox. Mariners look to continue their hot stretch of play, 2-1 over the White Sox at the moment. White Sox, I'm guessing, won't be playing well the rest of the way, especially with all the issues they've had both in and out of the clubhouse, in the media, on the field. It's just a very bad season all the way around for the White Sox organization. Jordan Hicks is coming on to face Ryan Mountcastle. Finishing out the rest of our scores here, Twins on top of the Brewers 3-2. And looks like the Rangers and Diamondbacks are just about to get underway in Arizona. Strike one on the outside corner. 98-mile-an-hour fastball from Hicks. Gets ahead of Mountcastle there. One thing with Hicks is he's very good, very high velocity, great strikeout numbers, but he's not very consistent as far as locating the zone. He does have a high number of walks. Control can be an issue at times. We've seen that result in some losses for Toronto in the few appearances he's had so far. But another high-end, high-leverage option to put at the back end of the bullpen. Moving him out of the closer role, I think, is going to be the best thing for him. Obviously, they have Romano to take that spot, but they have Hicks just in case they need another closer late. There's the strikeout of Mountcastle. Hicks powers one past him. Kind of a high fastball just above the letters makes Mountcastle expand the zone with that velocity. Looks like he's been very accurate so far today, not been wild with his stuff like he usually is. Fastball here right on the outside corner here to Henderson. 1 for 3 on the day. Yennier Cano is loosening in that Baltimore bullpen. Started off to that great stretch here early in the season and had a little bit of an implosion late June, early July, and still been one of the better setup men in all of baseball this year. Henderson taps out to second there. 2 away in the bottom of the 7th. It'll be Hayes next. Had a double, a walk, an RBI. 1 for 2 on the day. Takes a 100-mile-an-hour heater right on the inner half of the plate. Strike 1. Got 23 of you guys with us right now. Appreciate it. Tip of the cap to you, if I had a cap on. But I know you guys are having a lot of fun on your Tuesday night watching some baseball. Not a whole lot usually going on Tuesdays in the world outside of baseball, so it's nice to just kind of sit back and relax. Hayes hitting .282 on the year, 12 homers, 51 RBIs. And there's kind of the off-speed stuff for Hicks, missing the zone. Now it's 2-1. See if he goes back to the fastball here to try to get back some of that command. Looks like he has the fastball command today and the velocity, but the off-speed stuff doesn't necessarily look like it's there. And this one's grounded out to first. That'll end it here in the 7th. We go to the 8th, tied 3-3. Could we see an extra inning game here once again? We've had some good luck with that over the last year or so since we've been doing some baseball for you guys. I remember when we first did this last year, we did a game pretty much every single night for the first month of the season. And I think we had, I don't know, 8 or 9 extra inning games out of the ones we actually did live, which was like half of them. Kind of a pirouette there by Hicks to be able to find the base in time to get the out, though. Certainly don't want to see him getting bulldozed by an outfielder. He is not exactly the tallest guy or the most muscular or stacked guy on the team. Collision like that, he would get the worst of it, that's for sure. Cano coming on to face Guerrero, Springer, and Varsho. This team has certainly juggled their lineup as well. We mentioned a little bit earlier how the Orioles have been doing that this season. Well, the Blue Jays certainly have had to do that because they've tried to diversify their lineup with more of the right-left kind of a thing. That's why they traded Teoscar Hernandez, Lourdes Gurriel, Moreno, etc. They wanted to get a little bit more balanced offensively from the right and left side of the plate. So far, it's worked. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily worked as well as they had hoped, but it's worked so far. But they no longer have Springer in the leadoff spot. Merrifield's a new addition from last year. He looks like a nice fit at the top of the lineup so far. 295 average so far this season. Varsho's had a down year, but today he's got that 2-run home run, hitting 222 so far this season. Guerrero's having a little bit of a down year. Bichette looks like every bit the superstar the Blue Jays hoped he would be when they drafted him. He looks fantastic, and hopefully they never lose him in free agency. He is that dynamic of a talent. I think every single GM out there would lose their minds to be able to add a player of his caliber on their roster. Looks like we're about set here in the top of the 8th. Feel free to send us any questions if you have any about the upcoming NFL season, about your fantasy football team, about a lineup, about how you set your fantasy lineup for baseball, whatever the case may be. Be more than happy to help you out if you have any questions. Welcome in, I Live What I Love. Orioles and Packers fan from Oklahoma. Very nice. That's a very interesting collection there. Baltimore, Green Bay, and Oklahoma. Appreciate it. I try to keep you guys informed as much as I can. We're going to be doing a lot more of our short format videos as well. We're going to try to do one about the Chicago White Sox, break down what the implications are about the departure of Hahn and Williams. Cano on 55 games, 1-2 record, 1.68 earned run average in 59 innings, 59 strikeouts to 10 walks. Guerrero tapped that one foul well inside. If he had been patient, he would have taken it for a ball, and this one misses well outside. 1-1 the count. Guerrero a 267 average, 18 homers, and 72 RBIs. Cano kind of slings it from a little bit of a sidearm almost. He's a very tall fellow, but still drops it down a little bit. Not even 3/4 over the top. Then you have 3/4 a little bit more off to the side like this. And then he's dropping it all the way down, almost even with his shoulder, maybe even a little below. This one almost gets through the hole, but nice play there by Henderson. Whips it on over to first, and Guerrero is retired out by a mile on that one. Blue Jays infield is going to look very good over the next several years. Westberg looks like he's a stud over there at second base. Looks like he's found a home. Henderson looks like he's getting more and more comfortable every day he's in the big leagues as well. Their first full season for him, really. Springer swings and misses at that one. Nice movement on that pitch. 0-1. Kind of a wiffle ball type of, I guess you would call it a slider, sweeper. 2 strikeouts and a walk here today for Springer. Swing and a miss. Swings right over the top of that 97-mile-an-hour heater. Swanson getting loose in the bullpen for the Blue Jays. Remember, he was the piece that came over in that Teoscar Hernandez trade. Tigers extending their lead now 8-6. Mound visit just to make sure they're on the same page. 0-2 count. A little bit surprised that they're going to go ahead and do a mound visit here. I guess this is more of just to make sure they're on the right page than anything else. Cano's been very good so far. Born 87 family, love sports and their teams. I just stuck with the ones I caught alone. Very nice. Most of the fans that follow sports, etc., are usually rooting for their hometown team or a team that represents their area of the world. So, for instance, if you're in the Pacific Northwest, maybe not even in Seattle, maybe you're out there in Tacoma, or if you're in Northern Oregon, you might have your favorite team be Seattle. If you're in the Minnesota, the Great Lakes area, if you're in the South Dakota, etc., your team usually would be the Minnesota Twins. Very rare to have fans that kind of grasp onto teams from other areas. Glad to see you were one of them. I did like the Orioles when I grew up. Wasn't necessarily a fan per se, but I really enjoyed how Ripken played. Really nice watching him play that long consecutive game streak, starting streak anyway, as Springer gets the hat trick there, looking. Not necessarily living up to that big contract, at least at the moment right now for the Blue Jays. Varsho due up next. See if he can untie this game here in the top of the eighth. This one bounces in the dirt, 1-0. Now, as far as the Packers, I was a huge Brett Favre fan. I'm not much for the politics outside of the game of football, but on the field, he was a great wizard of a quarterback. He would turn over the ball, sure, but he would also do things that other quarterbacks at that time wouldn't even try to attempt. Closest we've seen as far as the ability and willingness to make those types of high risk, high reward type of plays, Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes just does it at a much higher success rate, I think, than Brett Favre. But of course, in the second half of his career, Brett Favre would, he would throw that ball over the middle, back into double coverage or across his buddy, and not see the, linebacker underneath, and would throw it right into his numbers. Those are issues that he had, especially later on in his career. But they always referred to him as a little bit of a gunslinger. Mahomes has always been that, but he's also been one of the most successful, if not the most successful quarterback, at least so far through his career, than any other. Tom Brady, of course, the greatest quarterback of all time. I think both of them are going to end up being in that conversation of greatest quarterback ever when it's all said and done. Varsho gets a nice base hit here to get things going in the eighth inning, to at least try to extend it here. Matt Chapman due up next, 2 for 3, struck out in his last at bat, scored a run today. The pitch from Cano, tapped foul of third base. 0-1. Chapman, as I mentioned, is going to have a strong final month plus of the season to really improve his free agency status this offseason and really kind of get the best bang for his buck. In a year where there's not a lot of offense out there, even just league average offense with stellar defense would get you a very nice contract this offseason, and Chapman's going to do very well for himself because of how thin the market is this year. Chapman swings through that one. 0-2 now. You just love the players, then later the team. Yeah, I did a little bit of both. I liked the Packers. I liked the Brett Favre as a whole. Did not enjoy Aaron Rodgers at all. And probably after his second or third year, I just couldn't stand him. Didn't even know about his politics till later. So, I know a lot of guys out there say, "Oh, it's your politics you don't like, and you just said you don't want to mix both." Well, I just didn't like the cocky attitude that he played with on the field. Some players I can tolerate it from, some I can't. And George Springer's a very big example of one player that I could not stand on the Houston Astros. I grew up a little bit of a Houston Astros fan, and it took a lot for me to go away from them because I couldn't stand Carlos Correa, and I couldn't stand George Springer. Strike 3 swinging here for Chapman, but he's able to reach as the ball gets through McCann. And the inning continues. This is not a good inning here right now for the Baltimore Orioles. Really do not want to see another blown game here. I don't know what the issue was, if they got crossed up, if he just lost sight of it on the swing. But it looks like he just missed it. He was trying to go for the stolen base or stop the runner from stealing, but come on now. Priorities, my friend. Gonna have a mound visit here. Cano up to 15 pitches so far this inning. Mateo doing some translating out there for the pitching coach. It's a good teammate right there. He knows his job, his days are numbered there in Baltimore, but he's doing everything he can to make himself as valuable to this team as he can, especially with Holiday coming. Mateo maybe could be that super utility player that plays all over the diamond. Backup shortstop in years to come, but Holiday is the future for them at short. Just to kind of pick up on where we were in our conversation, just teams you love when you grow up. The Atlanta Braves were always on TBS. I know a lot of you guys watched their games when y'all were growing up as well. They're no longer nationally televised, but I still remember the days of Chipper Jones, Andres Galarraga, Ryan Klesko, etc. That entire team. Javi Lopez, probably one of my favorite catchers ever in baseball outside of Pudge Rodriguez. Joe Mauer's on that list for me as well. Strike one there to Jansen. Jansen, some good home run power. This one misses just beneath the zone. Doesn't get the call on that one. McCann held that one for a minute just to make sure. Home plate umpire did not want to call that one a strike. You can see how he kind of snatched it up directly. I think because he snatched it up a little bit too much, might have influenced it as well. 97 right on the inner half. 1-2. One strike away from getting out of this 2-out rally here by the Blue Jays. Shut the door and see if they can take the lead in the bottom half. The 1-2 pitch. Little tapper, couple hops out to Westberg at second base. He steps on second for the force, and we go to the bottom of the eighth. Tied 3-3. Got 25 of you guys with us right now. Appreciate you guys joining us. It looks like this game is going to run a little bit long. We're not going to be able to do the Rangers and Diamondbacks game, unfortunately. We will go ahead and try to save a little bit of my voice for our lives tomorrow. We will be doing 2 longer lives for you guys. We'll do the Toronto and Baltimore game for you guys tomorrow evening. And then we're going to do a fantasy football live draft for you guys as well, starting at about 9 o'clock whenever that game gets over tomorrow evening. Make some other videos for you as well. Get you guys caught up on what's going on around the world of sports. James Harden got fined $100,000 for his comments about Daryl Morey, basically saying he would never play for a team that had Daryl Morey as a part of their organization. Basically, the league took that as a trade demand, and I thought James Harden was very careful in how he phrased it. He wasn't necessarily saying trade. He was just literally saying, I don't want to play for Daryl Morey. Obviously, we all know he wants a trade. He never specifically asked for one. He had previously requested one through the media, but never had come out in a statement like that. NBA, of course, takes exception to those types of things and wants to try to protect teams from players wanting to move and be traded. They think that trade requests actually decrease the value or interest in their sport. I think it's exactly the opposite. I think every time a player makes a trade request, it upsets one fan base, excites all the rest of them. And as much as that one fan base might be, upset about the trade request or think, hey, my team's garbage or whatever the case may be, you trade that player, you still get good stuff back. That's how things work in a trade. And player movement, I think, is a good thing. I think it's done wonders for the NBA and the growth of the NBA. I think baseball, the way they keep players locked up for 6 years, I think the union is going to have a very difficult time winning that argument to be able to decrease that service time requirement that's needed to hit free agency. But I think that would be great for the game of baseball as well. Let players hit free agency after 5 years instead of 6. Swanson coming in, 57 games and 55 and 2/3 innings. 64 strikeouts to 19 walks, giving up 6 home runs and a .215 opponent average. Gets him to chase here, strike one on the outer half, or just outside off the corner. Westberg 2 for 3 so far today. Had that big double back in the 5th inning anyway to score the tying run. Foul tip straight down, 0-2. That one misses up and in, 1-2 now. Swanson ahead, trying to get the first out here in the bottom of the 8th. See if they can get it back to the 9th tied. Cano pitched well in that 8th inning, just ran into some issues. Catcher not being able to hold on to the 3rd strike there. Popped foul again, and we'll do it over. Just off the outside corner, 2-2 now. Westberg 5 in the lineup today. McCann next. He was hit by the pitch this last time up. Nice off-speed pitch there by Swanson. Get him to swing through it for the first out here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Just pulled the string on him. Got him way out in front. But Westberg still looks the part. I think he's going to be a very solid major leaguer. Will he be an all-star? Remains to be seen, but I think he's earned that starting job next year already at second base. Ooh, McCann loses the bat into the stands there. Bounces off the netting and back onto the field of play. Just need a little bit more stickum on there, my friend. Just whee! 0-1 now. Another good reason to have that netting there is just to make sure no unsuspecting fan turning to take care of a kid doesn't get walloped in the side of the head because of a bat flying in there. McCann this year hitting .247, 4 homers, 21 RBIs. Pops this one foul, and it's quickly 0-2. Swanson going for his second strikeout. And gets it 2 away here in the bottom of the 8th. It'll be Mullins next, who struck out twice already today, 0 for 3. Got McCann kind of on an excuse me safety swing. Trying to protect himself. It was so far up and in. Still gets the swing and a miss either way. McKenna will now be in the on-deck circle for them. Swanson just overpowering right now for this Orioles lineup. Strike one at the top of the zone, 0-1. 96-mile-an-hour heater. Appreciate all you guys joining us right now. Got 23 of you guys. Hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. Got a highly competitive game. 3-3 here in the bottom of the 8th. That one misses about a 1.5 feet north and outside of the zone. 1-1. Mullins a .253 average now, a 10 home run season, 52 RBIs. Has missed some time due to injury already, as we mentioned. Hard hit but foul. Able to catch up with that off-speed pitch at the bottom of the zone. Now 1-2. If Mullins can catch fire here, then that Orioles lineup really, I think, lengthens itself out to probably the best it could possibly be. Looks like O'Hearn is stepping into the on-deck circle now for McKenna. The 1-2 pitch. About a 1.5 feet outside. Swanson a little wild with a couple of them here to Mullins. Now 2-2. Wow, picking up some steam here. Appreciate you guys joining us here. Got a good one right now. 3-3 as we're about to be heading to the ninth. Yep. Swing and a miss. Mullins strikes out there. And we go to the ninth, tied 3-3. Had a good one here. Varsho had a 2-run homer in the second, but that came after the Baltimore Orioles got on top in the bottom of the first on when Henderson scored there. Toronto extended their lead a little bit in the fourth, 3-1, and then Baltimore kind of came back there. Mateo scoring for the first run there in the fifth, and then the RBI double from Westberg. They probably should have sent the runner at that point with Westberg on that double. Just they've really had nothing else going so far in the game, but so far right now you're watching the game. The score right now: 3 runs, 10 hits, 1 error for Toronto. 3 runs, 8 hits, no errors for Baltimore. Looks like Bautista is going to come in. Cano's night is done. It'll be Kiermaier who's hit the ball hard all 3 times today, followed by Merrifield and Bichette. So you got the top of the order coming for the Blue Jays. You remember the only time he was actually recorded as an out for Kiermaier anyway, it was a line shot to first base that Mountcastle had to dive and stop to his left. That was back in the second inning after that home run to Varsho, or given up to Varsho that put the Blue Jays back in front 2-1, and then a couple of singles there to get them going once again. After that, they had 2 on, nobody out at that time. Mountcastle, if he doesn't make that diving stop, we're talking about this being a save situation for the Blue Jays rather than a 3-3 game going to the ninth. So looks like we got a good one on our hands. See if we get a walk-off here in the bottom half of the ninth, or if we see the Blue Jays wrap things up here in the top half. Bautista, you remember, gave up that game-winning grand slam to Kyle Tucker a week or 2 ago. So far this year, though, 53 games, an 8-2 record, 32 saves out of 38 appearances or opportunities. Had 1.54 earned run average in 58 in the third innings, 109 strikeouts to 26 walks, only giving up those 4 home runs and a 149 batting average against. So, very good closer there for Baltimore, but he has been proven to be shaky at times, primarily against the Houston Astros. We'll see if that carries over here in a non-save situation here against the Blue Jays. When you're at home, though, you use your closer in a tie game in the ninth because you won't have that save situation later. It will now be a walk-off win for the Orioles, or the Blue Jays will have to win it themselves. But as I mentioned, Kiermaier will be due up first. Has hit the ball really hard all 3 times. That diving stop back in the second, probably the hardest hit of all 3 of them, honestly. Looks like we're just about set to go. Kiermaier this season, a .274 average, 6 homers, and 30 RBIs. The set by Bautista, and the pitch. 99 right at the top of the zone, lifted into center, shallow center. Mullins coming on, Mateo going out. It'll be Mullins who makes the catch for the first out here. 1 pitch, 1 out for Bautista. Things looking good for Baltimore so far here in the ninth. It'll be Merrifield next. 0 for 4, struck out as well, I believe in his last at-bat. .295 average, is .757 OPS. Got 27 of you guys with us right now. Thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe. Make sure you follow us over to Twitter at UpsideSN. That way you will be notified when we do go live. 100-mile-an-hour fastball right at the letters on the outside corner. Beautiful pitch. 0-1 here now to Merrifield. 11 home runs on the year. 57 RBIs. The 0-1 misses inside by about 6 inches. 1-1's the count. Bautista certainly does like to take his time there when he's on the mound. That clock consistently gets down to about 1, 2, or 3. The 1-1 pitch. Misses off the plate inside with off-speed pitch. And it's going to be 2-1. I'd like to see Bautista go back to the fastball here. He's been able to locate that pitch very well so far. Bichette waits on deck anyway, 1 for 4 so far today. The 2-1 here to Merrifield. 99 right down Broadway. Mateo fields and flips on to first, and Merrifield is retired. It'll be up to Bichette for the Blue Jays here today. Nice pitch, 100-mile-an-hour fastball in the inner half of the plate. A little too much of the plate, though, for my liking. Tomorrow's starters for the game we're going to cover tomorrow is going to be Kevin Gausman and Jack Flaherty. He was the one I was really hoping to catch with one of our lives after the trade from St. Louis. Again, we'll have that one for you tomorrow at 6:05. Bichette was taken all the way on that first one. Bichette has been chasing a little bit at that pitch down and away. Looked like Romano's loosening just in case this becomes a save situation, and Meza from the left side should it not be. 0-2 now to Bichette. She's got that long swing there. Almost trying to golf it out of there, as that pitch was definitely beneath the zone. Baltimore faithful getting into it. The 0-2 pitch. Fouled right back to the screen. Gotta love whenever they do that. All the people right behind the screen just instantly just go to protect themselves, not realizing that the net is going to do it for them. 0-2 once again here. The set and the pitch. Little tapper. That was another one he chased at, but able to roll it over to third at least, and unfortunately unable to get there in time to avoid the out. And we go to the bottom of the ninth. It'll be a walk-off chance here for the Orioles. They will have their 8, 9, and 1 in the lineup. It'll be McKenna, Mateo, and Rutschman. Curious to see if they still go with O'Hearn as the pinch hitter there, though. Just got to get it done. No need to go to extras. Yeah. Well, I like extra inning baseball. This is a pretty good game so far. I'm not necessarily against it, but I'm sure Orioles fans would love to see this one get over with and end it right here on a walk-off. But it's been a pretty good, well-played game today. Toronto, I think, has had the better opportunities to score. That diving stop by Mountcastle, probably the defensive play of the game for me, to kind of keep it a 2-run inning back in the second. That would have probably scored at least 2 runs right there, and then this game would probably be looking at a save situation right now. But as it stands, 3 runs, 10 hits, 1 error for Toronto, 3 runs, 8 hits, no errors for Baltimore. And it looks like Meza, the lefty, is going to come on to face McKenna. I think this will keep O'Hearn in the dugout. It'll also force Rutschman to flip around and bat from the right. Apparently the Yankees have lost for the 9th consecutive time tonight. The last time the New York Yankees has lost 9 consecutive games, 1982. That coming from Bob Nightingale on Twitter. If you can finish it in 9, sure. I just remember the days of picking up the newspaper in the morning. There you go. Shows you a little bit of my age anyway. Picking up the newspaper in the morning when I was going to grade school. I was probably, 6th, 7th grade. Maybe even earlier than that. Back when the Rangers still had Bill Hasselman, I think, was the backup catcher for the Rangers that year. He caught all 18 innings of that game. That game didn't get over till like, I want to say 2, 3, 4 in the morning, somewhere in there. Of course, I was in grade school, so I couldn't watch the whole thing, but just reading of all the different at-bats, looking at the box score was just something to see. That's something we're never going to have again, unfortunately. The longest I think we've seen go so far in recent memory is, 14 innings, maybe 15? But it's always abbreviated innings because there's always the runner out there at second base if this goes to extras. First pitch here by Meza outside. They checked down to first to see if he went around. He did not. It'll be 1-0. Phillies beat the Giants to widen their lead in the wild card, looking for sweep tomorrow. Phillies, I think, are the better team out of all the wild card teams on the NL side, so we'll see. Looks like Santander is picking up a bat. The 1-1 misses inside. 2-1. This one up the middle, and nice stop there by Bichette, but McKenna runs really well. There was no chance to make a throw and get him there at first. It'll be 1 on, nobody out here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Orioles looking to walk it off against their division rival, Toronto Blue Jays. Looks like Santander is indeed going to be the pinch hitter here. Or no, they're going to let Mateo hit. Okay. Pickoff attempt over there. Maybe this is them trying to go ahead and get a bunt down with Mateo, possibly. How about the White Sox getting rid of their GM and president? Exactly. We'll touch on that here again right after this half inning. Chapman is in. Mateo squares. That one is a ball outside. Runner not going. A lot of strategy here late in the game. Worst part about this for the Orioles, they are the worst team as far as striking out with runners in scoring position. They strike out at the highest percentage. That one right at the top of the zone. Mateo unable to get that one down. Now 1-1. The set and the delivery. This one does get down, but pushed foul. Would have been a great sacrifice if he kept it fair, but he does not. Count now goes to 1-2. Another foul ball and a bunt, and that's going to go as a strikeout. Curious to see what their decision is going to be. Do they go ahead and give up on the strategy of trying to bunt him over? Do they go ahead and say the heck with it and just try to do it anyway? This one in the dirt, bounced well in front of the plate, almost on the grass. Nice work there by Jansen to keep it in front of him. They almost did the job for the Orioles on that one. He doesn't get his body in front of that one. We're talking about a second runner on second, nobody out, and then maybe they just say the heck with it and allow Mateo to try to get him over to third, and then a sacrifice fly ends the game. As it is, this one misses. Now it's 3-2. The set by Meza in the pitch. This one's lifted foul behind home plate, and we'll do it again. 3-3 our score here in the bottom of the 9th. Jorge Mateo up there, unable to get the bunt down. We'll see if he's able to get on base here. McKenna reached on an infield single with his speed. This one's lifted high in the air. Foul territory. Guerrero might have room, and he does. Vladdy gets the job done there. One away here in the bottom of the 9th. It'll be Adley Rutschman next. Orioles MVP candidate. See if the Orioles can finish off the comeback here. They fell behind 3-1 back in the fourth inning. They scratched across a couple of runs in the fifth to tie it. Been scoreless ever since. And best chance the Orioles have had right now with Rutschman at the plate. This one off the outside corner. Meza really wanted that one. 1-0. This one's lined right back to the screen. It'll be 1-1 now. Rutschman dropped to a knee to be able to reach that one. Rutschman today is the designated hitter for them, batting leadoff. McCann doing the catching for the Orioles today is 2 for 4 so far today. He's got a double, a run scored, and a stolen base. That one misses well outside, now 2-1. Ryan Mountcastle is due up next. He's 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts and a lineout. Meza up to 14 pitches so far here in the bottom of the ninth. Blue Jays would love to see it get to the 10th. Another big swing there by Rutschman and late on it just a little bit. Fouls it back over the screen. Now 2-2. Not expecting this one to be a perfect pitch at all, but see if they can get Rutschman to expand the zone a little bit low and away like they had success with. Let's see if they go that route. They go low and in and don't get him to chase that one. Nice off-speed pitch. Good job by Jansen not allowing it to get past him as well. 3-2 now. One out here in the bottom of the ninth. The set by Meza. And the pitch. Hard hit, nice stop by Bichette, an absolute whirling throw, and somehow makes the play. That's going to be on SportsCenter's top 10 easily. What a nice play by Bichette. I don't even think he knew where he was going to throw that ball. It's just a prayer that it actually got where he was trying to go. Just what a play. Ranging to his right, throwing back across his body, whipping himself as he's turning. He does make eye contact with first base a little bit. All that hair blocked a lot of the view. What a play by Bichette. It's not just the bat that gets the job done for him. The glove work there, the throw, the arm, the range, all of it on display there for Bo Bichette. They intentionally walk Mountcastle here to face Henderson. The lefty on lefty advantage is the way that the Blue Jays want to go here. Jansen goes out to the mound just to make sure everything's clear. Is this the pitching coach out there as well? Looks like it. Telling him, hey, you got the advantage left on left. We'll see what you can do. But Henderson can handle some lefties. We've seen him have some home runs off of them. He's had some big moments so far this season. Does he have one more in him here tonight? 3 runs, 10 hits, 1 error for Toronto. 3 runs, 9 hits, no errors for Baltimore. 2 on, 2 out. Bottom of the 9th inning. Tie game. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Appreciate you guys joining us. Got about 40 of y'all right now. Henderson with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. Henderson's hitting .342, 6 home runs in that position. This one just off the outside corner. Meza wanted that one. Kind of looked away in disgust when he didn't get that call. But it was definitely outside. Henderson being patient. The 1-0. Right down Broadway, 95-mile-an-hour pitch. Just lands foul. Ooh, if that had landed fair, that would have been ball game. That was close for Blue Jays fans. Count goes to 1-1, though. That did not miss fair territory by much. Just looking down the line, probably missed it by about 1.5 feet, 2 foot. 3/4 down the line. 1-1 pitch here. Runners on first and second. Meza up to 19 pitches so far this inning. All of them have been stressful. McKenna led off with an infield single. This one's off the fist, a little nubber out to second. They flip it on to first, and Henderson is just unable to get there in time. Henderson frustrated with himself on that one. They didn't get better wood on it, but nice work there by Merrifield to get it quickly over to first. And Henderson kind of did a little bit of a stumble step anyway into first base. Looks like he might have broken some of the protection off of his helmet, though, when he slammed it to the ground. I'm sure they'll fix that between innings. But we go to extra innings, top of the 10th inning. It'll be Belt, Guerrero Jr., and Springer. Bichette will be the Manfred man out there at second base, if you will. They'll start the inning with a runner in scoring position already. And we'll see if we can get some scoring here in the 10th. In case you guys are just joining us, Baltimore opened scoring back in the first inning. Gunnar Henderson scoring there, had a base hit and stolen base, and scored on another base hit thereafter. Varsho hit a 2-run homer to get things going for the Blue Jays there in the second. And then the defensive play of the game came a couple of batters thereafter when Toronto had a couple on in the second inning after that 2-run home run. And a diving stop by Mountcastle at first base. Tapped the first base with his glove to get the double play. That would have been a big inning for Toronto, and that could have given Toronto the ball game, honestly. Toronto tacked on another run in the fourth. Baltimore scratched across a couple in the fifth to be able to tie it up on a very nice RBI double by Westbrook, the second baseman for them. They really should have sent the runner at third base, but they decided to hold him up. Unfortunately for them, they haven't scored since. So that's kind of our score right now. Really well pitched game out of the bullpen for both teams. 3-3 is our score as we go to the top of the 10th. And looks like Bowman is coming on to face Belt for the Orioles. Belt 0 for 3 so far today. 2 strikeouts and a walk. Guerrero 2 for 4. I wonder if they'd go ahead and put Belt on even with his struggles today just to see if they can get the double play. Or they go ahead and attack Belt and then put on Guerrero. I do think we will see an intentional walk at some point here. Bowman is a kind of a 4-pitch pitcher. Fastball, curve, slider, change. Bichette gets a nice lead off a second. Belt is ready. The set by Bowman and the pitch. First pitch right down Broadway, absolutely hammered. That one was very much gone right off the bat, and it's now a 5-3 ball game. Toronto immediately jumps in front here in the 10th. That ball was crushed. 97-mile-an-hour fastball, kind of a get-me-over fastball, and just whoops. 107 off the bat, 417 feet. That's Belt's 14th home run of the season. Wow. He didn't miss that one. He knew what was coming all the way. He was not going to let a cheap fastball get over to start things off. McCann knew it. The second that ball was hit, he just looked immediately down at the plate. Baltimore now has an uphill way to go. Guerrero Jr., hard hit ball down the line in left. This is going to be a double here for Guerrero. He might try for 3. Nope, he just hustles into second and rounds second aggressively, but stops there. And now they have a runner on second base. 2 extra base hits on 2 pitches for Bowman out of the bullpen for the Orioles. Ouch. They are ambushing his fastball right now. Springer, who's got the 3 strikeouts in the game, is next. They are attacking these pitches in the zone right now for Bowman. Wonder if they go off speed here. They do. This one catches way too much of the plate, though. This one's hit all the way back right in front of the track. Mullins makes the catch, but Guerrero tags and goes to third. An important run there, as that would give them a 3-run advantage going into the bottom of the 10th if he is able to get across. 3 pitches, and we've seen 2 runs come in and another runner get over to third base so far on 3 pitches so far. 5-3 our score here in the top of the 10th. Action certainly picking up here. Just after we compliment how well the bullpens have pitched for both sides, they immediately implode here. Varsho, who has the 2-run homer back in the second, due up next. Ambushes that one. Another off-speed pitch. Looks like Bowman's learning. That one's tapped foul. 0-1. Umpire needs a moment after that one went off of him. But sorry, Baltimore Orioles fans. Toronto wasn't waiting around. They weren't going to let you have a give-me-over fastball. Romano is loosening out there once again for the Blue Jays. One of the best, most consistent closers in all of baseball. Might not necessarily have the name cachet of a Craig Kimbrell or a Kenley Jansen, Josh Hader, David Bednar, etc. But he certainly does every bit the job that those guys do. This one's lifted foul and it's quickly 0-2. Varsho today 2 for 4, playing in left field. Chapman would be next. I'm sure the Blue Jays would be very happy with the sacrifice fly here. The 0-2 pitch. Up and away, ball 1. Guerrero dives back in there into third on the bluffed throw attempt by McCann. The 1-2. Fouled down the first base line this time, and we'll do it again. 5-3 our score in the top of the 10th. Orioles will have their opportunity with the runner at second base to begin things. But that's not going to be enough. They're going to have to scratch across another run in addition to that one in order to continue this into the 11th. That one bounces in the dirt, 2-2. Seeing if they can get Varsho to chase low. Seems to be the strategy here for Baltimore. The 2-2 bounced in there again. Nice stop by McCann. Taking a little bit of a risk with kind of a backhand stab at that one instead of just getting in front of it and avoiding it, trying to get past you. 3-2 now. Guerrero on third base. See if they can get the runner in. This one's fouled straight back to the screen. We'll do it over. Bowman up to 9 pitches so far in the inning. Or make it 10. After the first 3 batters went after the first pitch, and that was the end of their at-bat. This is the first long at-bat today, or for the 10th inning. The 3-2, nice fastball right on the outside corner, able to get it by Varsho for the second out of the inning. Sacrifice fly is no longer on the table for the Blue Jays. Going to require a base hit or an error by the Orioles to be able to get it done. Chapman 2 for 4 today, a couple of strikeouts, scored a run. Played some good defense today as well. Banged into Hicks earlier when Hicks and him didn't really communicate very well. That one's nubbed off the end of the bat. And it'll be 0-1. Danny Jansen waits on deck should this inning continue. Chapman so far this year, 250 average, 15 home runs with 49 RBIs. Looking for RBI number 50 right here. That one just off the plate, low and away. 1-1. Runner on third, got to be careful not to let that ball get past you. And this one does. He tries to backhand stab it again. This time he misses it, and Guerrero scores on the wild pitch. That's going to go on Bowman as far as the wild pitch, but that's completely on McCann there. It's now 6-3 Blue Jays. And just the ball bounced well in front of the plate. Just kind of skipped. It didn't really hop up as much as McCann expected it to. And that's why it just got past him. I don't understand why he didn't just try to get in front of it. We saw Danny Jansen do that, and again he does the backhand pick. But I guess that's just how he defends, I guess, as a catcher. But if I'm part of this coaching staff right now, the first thing I'm saying in the dugout is I don't care what you're used to doing. That ball gets by you, you're done. You're sitting on the bench for at least the next several games. Because that's going to cost them. Say they get that 2-run home run, just like the Blue Jays got to open this top half of the 10th. That extra run now is the difference in the game if that happens. That can't happen, especially in extras. Little tapper foul, remains 3-2. Good tough at bat here by Chapman. 2 away here in the top of the 10th. Orioles will have their chance in the bottom half. Romano is loose and ready in the Toronto bullpen. Hero of the game right now would be Brandon Belt. After a tough day at the plate, able to get that 2-run home run to give him the lead. Another foul ball here by Chapman. Really making Bowman work here. Orioles will have Hayes, Westbrook, or Westberg, and McCann. Bowman's going primarily sliders in this at bat. Only one fastball so far to Chapman. This one right on the outside corner, lifted shallow left field, and making the catch is Hayes. But we go to the bottom of the 10th. Blue Jays in front, 6-3. 6 runs, 12 hits, 1 error for Toronto. 3 runs, 9 hits, no errors for Baltimore. Henderson will be the runner out there at second base. And we'll see if the Orioles have one more rally in them. They rallied from 3-1 early in the game. We'll see if they're able to do it once more. A little bit bigger of a deficit right now, though. Going to need a little bit more help. They got the pieces to do it. Westberg's had a good day at the plate. Hayes has had a decent day at the plate as well. He's reached twice. McCann has a hit as well, and he's been on base twice because of the hit by pitch. Maybe he can make up for that defensive blunder. McKenna had that infield hit last time he was up. Mullins has had a terrible day at the plate, though. He's 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Romano is on. Looks like it will be Hayes. Remember, they do have Santander on the bench to go to as a pinch hitter. Henderson takes his spot out there at second base. Just waiting for the commercial break to end here as we get ready for the bottom of the 10th inning. I know a lot of you guys are Orioles fans out there. Jose, I know you said you wanted to know what was going on with the White Sox getting rid of their GM and president. Well, they got rid of both after news came out today about the owner looking into the possibility of relocating the entire team to Nashville. And I think part of the reason why they got rid of them now as opposed to at the end of the season, which I think they would have done anyway, is because of all the negative press they were already getting about possible relocation. And then I think they just wanted to take all their lumps in one big day. Plus, they've had such a terrible season. Somebody's head was going to roll at some point. I think the manager ultimately will be fired as well at the end of the season once they bring in a new regime there. But it's going to be a tough rest of the way for this White Sox team. But here in the bottom of the 10th, Austin Hayes digging in. Orioles hoping to claw back into this one after fighting back from a 3-1 deficit to tie it in the 5th. Blue Jays score 3 in the top of the 10th. First pitch here lifted high, deep into center. Kiermaier has plenty of room. Bluffed attempt there by Henderson to third. But it'll be 1 away here in the 10th inning. 1 pitch, 1 away for Romano. Nice work here by the Toronto Blue Jays getting the win here in extras if they're able to finish it off. Westberg is next, second baseman, 2 for 4 today, a double, a couple of strikeouts, an RBI. And as I mentioned, a missed opportunity back in that 5th inning. They could have sent the runner at third base, instead decided to hold him and try to have a bigger inning. Didn't happen. 98-mile-an-hour fastball, top of the zone, swung on and missed. Underneath it was Westberg there. 0-1. The set and the pitch. off the outside corner by about 2 or 3 inches, 1-1. O'Hearn is coming on into the on-deck circle to be the pinch hitter there. Looks like McCann's night is done. Tapper foul behind home plate. It'll be 1-2 now to Westberg. Game's drawing late here for the Orioles. They've played well so far this season, but bullpen played well. Got a nice start out of Rodriguez, but then Blue Jays just ambushed the fastball there to begin the 10th inning and got that 2-run home run. That's kind of the difference right now. Westberg chases that one. He goes down swinging. That's his 3rd strikeout of the game. And things are looking very bleak now for the Orioles. It is O'Hearn that's coming on to be the pinch hitter here for McCann. Henderson out there at second base, the Manfred man. Last chance here for Baltimore. First pitch here to O'Hearn. Dotted up right on the outside corner, 99. Beautiful pitch. O'Hearn taking all the way on that one. 0-1. Another 99-mile-an-hour fastball right on the outside corner. Maybe a little higher and a little further away, but O'Hearn fouls it off. It'll now be 0-2. Orioles down to their final strike. The set by Romano. And the pitch. Swung on and missed. Held onto by Jansen, and the game is over. 6-3 your final. Toronto takes it in extras. What a great game all the way around for Toronto. Honestly, great pitching performance out of their bullpen. Kikuchi was run a little bit early in the 5th inning, but overall they're able to get the job done. Bullpen pitched well for the Baltimore Orioles up until the 10th inning. Bowman just got ambushed, and nothing really you could do about that one. Bowman gets his first loss of the season. He's now 9-1 on the year. Romano gets his 31st save. And Meza gets his 3rd win of the year. Appreciate you guys joining us tonight. A little bit late anyway to join the Rangers and Diamondbacks game, but tomorrow we will have another live game for you. The second game of this series, I believe, with the Toronto Blue Jays and the Orioles. I'm not sure if this is the 2nd or 3rd game. It will be tomorrow, but either way, we'll have that one for you at 6 o'clock. We'll do a fantasy draft for you guys tomorrow as well, right after that one. Appreciate you guys joining us. Make sure you guys check us out on our Facebook, Upside Sports Network as well, and on Twitter, at UpsideSN. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Welcome back in, Jordan. Saw you join there a little late, but thank you guys again for joining us. And check out those fantasy football ranking videos we have out for you guys. We're going to post a couple more videos about the White Sox issues that they have going on. Update you guys on how the Seattle Mariners are managing this incredible comeback anyway in that AL West, and appreciate you guys joining us tonight. But again, 6-3, Toronto takes it over the Orioles in Baltimore in 10 innings. Just a pretty good game all the way around, and we'll see you guys later on tomorrow. Y'all have a good one. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.